Starbucks card.
Yes.
From the SCA.
Last night, it was some sort of bringing the old guy
Yes, it is. Mama's happy. And the fiance's happy.
Good.
Well,
Perfect. Okay, girls. Good evening. Ooh, that's a loud one, so we got to watch that. I'm Stephanie Anderson from Helen Tyson. I'm actually going to let Shannon speak first. She's one of our 7th grade choir students.
All right, first of all, I want to start by saying thank you, Dr. Rollins, Springdale administration, and the school board for inviting us to sing today. My name is Shannon Knowlton. I am a member of the Helen Tyson Middle School 7th grade girls choir. The first song we will sing today uses the traditional Deck the Hall lyrics sung to the tune of Dance the Sugar Plum Fairy by Russian composer Peter Chaikovsky. The second piece, Winter Fantasy, was inspired by one of the best loved Christmas songs, Jingle Bells. Now, I present the Helen Tyson Middle School 7th grade Girls Honor Choir in the direction of Ms. Harvest. Very nice.
La 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 la.
like to wish all of you and each of your families that are represented here this evening a very Merry Christmas and a blessed New Year.
Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. Prospero año y felicidad. Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. Prospero año y felicidad. I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas. I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas. I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas from the bottom of my heart. I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas. I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas. I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas from the bottom of my heart. Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. Prospero año y felicidad. Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. Prospero año y felicidad. I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas. I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas. I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas from the bottom of my heart. I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas. I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas. I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas from the bottom of my heart. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Once in a year is not far to miss, to visit our neighbors and sing out like this. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Of friendship and love, good neighbors around, and peace and goodwill the whole year around. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Merry
Thank y'all so much. Thank you. It's great to see everyone this evening. Ms. Parkhurst, thank you. Ms. Anderson, thank you for having these youngsters here. Good to see everyone. Thank you. Merry Christmas. Parents, thank you. Thank you all. Corey, thank you. Thank you.
I can hear you singing. Good work, Jeff. You too.
You can go over there. Hey, how are you? All right.
You ready now? I'd like to welcome everyone to the December meeting of the school board, and last month was my first official meeting as president. And I guess I have the mic on now. So I asked some folks to critique me on how I did as a president. They said, "We need to work on your opening." So the choir was my idea, actually, to open.
You did good, didn't you? That's great.
So that one's gonna be a hard act to follow. But anyway, I welcome everybody here tonight, especially during the festive holiday season. It's a pretty good turnout for a December meeting. So I would ask if we look at tonight's agenda, if there's any changes.
Mr. President, I just have one special addition. After item A, if we could insert maybe an A1,
Sure.
we have a special guest that I'd like to introduce to the board this evening at that time. Other than that, the agenda would stand as presented.
I move to approve the agenda as amended.
Second?
Okay, we have a motion by Mrs. McFettridge and a second by Mr. Luttrell. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we've all had the minutes from the previous meeting. Any questions, changes, or concerns?
Make a motion to approve the minutes from last month's meeting.
A motion from Mr. Hutchinson and a second from Mr. Dodson. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, at this time, we have some time slotted for patrons' comments. Any concerns? Just understand you can bring your concerns forward, tell us who you are, what your concern is, and we won't be able to act on it tonight as a board, but we will take your comments into consideration. If there is none, I'll turn it over to you, Dr. Rollins.
Mr. President, let me direct you to page 11 in your prepared agenda. And if I could, I would like to ask our student representative from Har-BER High School, Isaac Anthony, to come forward. Isaac, we're very, very glad to have you here this evening. Board, you can see that Isaac is a senior at Har-BER High School. His parents are Paul and Susan Anthony, and I think perhaps his parents are here with him tonight. You'll introduce them, Isaac, in just a moment. Isaac has attended Hellstrom Middle School, Central Junior High School, and now Har-BER High School. He's taken 8 advanced placement courses while at Har-BER. That's a great job, really special. He's president of the Har-BER chapter of the National Honor Society. He is the DECA state officer of civil consciousness and the local DECA chapter officer for career development. He is a member of the student council and the senior class council. He's co-captain of the tennis team. He's a leader in the youth group at his church. Isaac has applied to Georgia Tech, Villanova, University of Missouri at Kansas City, Baylor, and the Services Academies, West Point, Naval, and Air Force. He plans to major in engineering or international business. Isaac, we're very glad to have you here this evening. If you would you like to lead us in the pledge, and then we would welcome any comments you might have.
Yes, sir. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If you would, we would really like to hear from you. Tell us how your year's going, or any other comments you want to make about your year so far.
Well, I want to thank Dr. Rollins first, the superintendent, for inviting me here, and the school board for having me. My mom is here today, Susan Anthony. She's been my mom since I was born, and she does a phenomenal job of it, raising us 3 kids. And so I started my public school career in 6th grade when I came to Hellstrom Middle School like my older brother did. Had a great time there, went to Central, and now I'm at Har-BER. I could contribute a lot of my success to the Springdale School District. And academically, just giving me the chances to take advanced AP courses like AP Cal, BC and AB, AP Stat, AP Bio, and a couple other. And I've had a great time going through all of them. And throughout my Springdale school experience, I've been able to be in a lot of clubs, as Dr. Rollins mentioned, and I've got a lot of exposure to the world. I've gotten to go on to international competitions. Last year was Anaheim, California. This year, hopefully, I'll be able to go to Atlanta and compete in DECA there. And so I'm planning on currently attending one of those universities. I've heard replies back from Baylor, U of A, and UMKC, and Villanova, waiting to hear back from Georgia Tech. And then my main goal is to hopefully get into the service academies, Naval, West Point, or Army. And so through that process, it's been long, very strenuous, but I'm very glad I have a school that will work with me throughout it. I've had to miss a couple days for interviews with the congressional nomination offices, Steve Womack, Senator Bozeman, and this coming Saturday, Tom Cotton. And so I've had a great time going through that experience, working with my counselor, David Klaus, who has prepared me for that, him being a blue and gold officer for the Naval Academy. He's done a lot of prep with me and really invested his time into me. I can't be thankful enough for the support that he's given. And that's all I have to add. Do you have any questions?
I do. I'm kind of just, when will you try to make your final decision by? Do you have a deadline in your mind that, okay, this is for as far as college, and what's next?
Around February, I should know about the service academies if I've gotten an appointment and will be selected as a candidate. And if any of them I get into, if I'm lucky enough, then I will definitely apply to either one of them because they're all great opportunities. And so with that, around February, if not, I will pick from a civilian college that I'm currently applying to.
So you have two fields of study, engineering or international business. What steered you in those directions?
So my father is an electrical engineer, so I've been exposed to that most of my life. And then through HAR-BER, never thought of doing business until I joined the Club DECA my junior year. And with that, I've been exposed to entrepreneurship, hospitality, tourism, finances, and banking. And so with that, it's created an interest in me, and I've always liked doing business, finding ways to get money or have a job and whatnot. So that's helped me achieve that.
Two very different fields.
Yes, sir.
How those came about. Thank you.
Can you maybe share with us your experience with your international competition through DECA? What did you do?
Yes. So leading up to that competition, I was running for state officer. I ran against a girl from Fort Smith, Northside High School, I believe, and I was running for a civic consciousness officer. So that's community service for the state of Arkansas DECA. And so while I was doing that, I was also tasked with competing at the state event to qualify for nationals. And so before that, I had not taken any business classes. So I had done some preparation on my own, and through that, I got first place at state and was able to go to internationals with placing first, second, or third. And so internationals was at Anaheim, California, and I got to go with a great group of seniors, and there's only 3 other juniors that went, my friends Zach and Pablo, and we've got to go on that experience. It was about 6 or 7 day trip out in California that we got to go to. Just got to meet a lot of different students all across the country. It's every state participates, and then kids from Canada, China, and Spain come, and so it's international in that sense because they don't have like a nation competition. And so through that, I got to meet a lot of kids, and as being a state officer, I got to meet with other state officers from other states, get to talk to them on how their schooling's going, what they're doing differently, and just get to really interact and got to network really with a lot of kids.
Didn't I see where you've earned an Eagle Scout?
Yes, ma'am. I recently earned my Eagle Scout 10, 17, 17. So that was a long process for me doing that, about 7 years in the making. And so I'm really proud and happy that I've earned that.
Yeah. What was your final project?
My project was, when they told me to pick it, they said, pick something that's close to your heart. And church has always been a big part of my family and my life. And so I was like, well, how can I help the church? So we renovated the outside of this church building, repainted it. Before it was a preschool, so it had bright neon colors on the outside. It looked very tacky. And the priest was very happy when I came to him and said, can I do this? He was like, please get it done. And so we renovated the outside of the building, replaced 2 doors, painted all of them, and then we removed this old playground set that I could remember since I was a little kid. And removed that, and then put a fire pit in there for the church to use for the youth group and also church activities. And then we painted the outside of a carport for the priest that was just built.
That's great. How special.
Thank you.
That's great. Great accomplishment. And you say your mother was here?
Yes, sir.
You recognize your mom?
thank you. We're very,
Sound like you'll be very successful. Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you very much for having
Keep
me.
us updated. Thank you.
It's a real pleasure for me to introduce a recent graduate of Springdale High School. Mr. Jinks, you might want to come and stand with him. If I might, electrician, technician, third class, Matthew Hutchinson is here to address the board. Will you recognize him, please?
First off, I just want to say thank you to the board and Dr. Rollins for giving me this this opportunity to come and speak, and give you a few moments of what really made me or got me to this point to where I am in my naval career. I would say, for the most part, Springdale High School, I graduated there in 2015 from the Engineering Academy, and it really set me up for what I'm doing now. Like the classes, my teachers, they were all great. Mr. Taylor, Mr. Winfrey, Miss Small, Mr. Holland, those guys over there at the Engineering Academy, just really good, fantastic teachers there that helped me get through and get me to where I am today. And I really have to thank everybody that has, that has helped me gotten, like Dr. Rollins, you've always been there and had that support from you and all the board. Every time I see y'all come up and shake my hand, ask me how I'm doing, and it's really helps. But definitely the school got me really prepared, and I really do credit most of my success to Springdale High School because of the Engineering Academy and the opportunities they gave me for my career now. Because like Dr. Rollins said, I'm an electronics technician, and a lot of math, a lot of stuff like that, engineering, and I hope to pursue a degree in some kind of engineering, hopefully, probably electrical, since I'm already there. I got several college credits from the Navy. From my training, I had just under a year worth of just straight books and school through the Navy. So that it's got me up there. Like coming out of high school, I didn't really feel like I was gonna, I didn't feel like college was right for me at the time. So I've always wanted to serve the country, our country. So. And I knew with the Navy I could get training and just set me up for the rest of my life. So I went that route and hope to get my degree once I get out, or work on it. I'm hopefully going to work on it while I'm in. So, but anyways, I thank you guys for having me. And if there's any questions,
So where are you stationed?
I'm stationed in Naval Station Everett in Washington with DDG 100 USS Kidd. It's a destroyer. And we just got back from I wasn't there but for 3 weeks, but the ship just got back from a 6-month deployment. So.
And you're getting married Saturday.
I'm getting married Saturday. There's my lovely fiance over there, Dana Goodman, right over there.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
It's a great story.
Thank you.
Matthew.
Thank you for having me.
I'm glad. Principals, you got to be pretty proud of these two guys who've been in front of the board already. Thank you all.
We need to introduce your mom here to us. Everybody knows who. This is your mom, correct?
Yes, this is my mom. You've probably seen some of her pictures floating around. She's the best photographer in Northwest Arkansas. So.
Thank you.
Okay, wow. What an evening already. Let's continue, board, with our holiday season, our prelude to the holiday season, and we've got a very special group here this evening. Ms. Brunell, if you'd bring your group forward.
While the students are lining up, this is the Language Academy at HAR-BER High School. And these are the students who have been in the United States for less than 1 year. And HAR-BER High School, along with the vision of Dr. Rollins and this board, have provided a great opportunity that I think only 2 school districts in the entire state of Arkansas make available to high school students. And I'm privileged to work with these students. Thank you, Dr. Rollins. Thank you, Dr. Brackett, for allowing me to come and teach in this academy. These are beautiful people. Our town is so blessed to have so much culture and so much diversity and so much language to bring to all of us. And tonight we want to open with our first song, which is Kataki, and then our second song will be Silent Night, and we're going to sing that in Marshallese for you, okay? These are the most resourceful young people. You'll find that we're going to use a table for a drum, so have fun with us, okay?
Mr. Schaefer, are you here? Yes, please, come forward. We've just had events going on all over our community for several weeks now to celebrate the holiday season. I know you want to share that.
We do. Every Christmas time, we always have all these concerts, band, everything else. If you look at our Facebook, they're all posted on there. You can watch them all over again. And we decided to do something a little extra for excitement around the district that we wanted the community to see. I want you to meet Amanda Thadanacum. Those of you who watched HAR-BER's TV last year know she was the superstar of that. She's now working with us in the communications office. So, Amanda, why don't you share with them what your thought was and how you put this together, what they're about to watch.
Sure. First, I'd like to say thank you so much for having me here today. The Holiday Excitement Campaign is what I've been working on this past month, and I would say that the point of the campaign is to share the holiday spirit not only with our district but with our community. So we partnered up with Springdale District Television, and we visited Young, Walker, and Tyson Elementary School, and we visited with their students to see what they thought about Christmas. So that's what we're going to watch next.
All right, so if you can watch the screen however you wish. We did 2 videos. This one was on Facebook last week. Then we're going to play the one that we're going to put up tomorrow for you.
I think he likes sugar cookies. Sugar cookies help him keep awake through the rest of the night. Chocolate chip. Chocolate chip. Chocolate chips. Well, we would usually make chocolate chip, but at Yolly's we made sprinkles. And then cookies. Sugar cookies. Gingerbread man. Snickerdoodles. Christmas cookies. Probably gingerbread cookies. Christmas cookies. Heart cookies, peppermint cookies. And I know he's allergic to peanut butter cookies. Take a nap? I think he just eats cookies. Sleeps a lot. Feeds his reindeer and stuff. Get ready for next Christmas. I think he starts making his toys. He helps the elves make the toys. How fun is it in the North Pole? What's his favorite reindeer and how many gifts does he deliver to each year? How many presents does he give away each year? I would ask him, thank you for the toys you got me. Thank you for the presents. Nice. 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 You promise? Promise. Okay. Nice. I don't really know. Nice. Nice. I don't know. But I called Santa last night and he didn't tell me.
I've never been on the naughty list and I'm not on it this year.
I have been naughty this year quite a bit. I don't know. Nice. Nice. But I have been a little mean to my brothers, so. Naughty. But I've also been really good, so I'm probably somewhere in the middle. Nice list. I've never gotten called by stocking ever. Nice. Nice list. Nice. Naughty.
Just nice or naughty this year?
Nice. He told me I was on the nice list.
If you can't love kids doing that, I mean, that's pretty amazing, isn't it? And so, beyond that, we're doing some Christmas pictures. Amanda, you want to tell us about these?
Yes, those are some pictures from Linda Childers Knapp Elementary School, and we took a couple kids, and then we just gathered them around the Christmas tree, and then they could do whatever they wanted, and they were just precious. We also visited T.G. Smith Elementary, and then that will be the next photo set that we release. The pictures that we use from this photo shoot we featured in the Democrat Gazette newsletter, and we'll probably do the same with the T.G. Smith pictures.
All right, thank you. Okay, now this is the video that we're going to put up there tomorrow, and so you get a special sneak preview of this one, huh?
I wished for some shoes and and a tablet. A bike. A new sketchbook. A watch. I can't remember all of it because it's a lot. I asked Santa to please give me Shopkins. Well, I kind of want a Gizmo watch and a playground and an American Girl doll. For 10 boxes full of Pokemon cards and a guitar.
Nintendo Switch, probably.
A Nintendo Switch, Mario Odyssey, and Mario Odyssey. A Lego set. I also want a little purple pony this year. A hoverboard and a skateboard. A giant Hot Wheels set. An emoji pill. A camouflage drone like the ones that Cabela's. I'm hoping for Nerf guns. I want a pom-pom. A control car. A cotton candy maker. I gave a biscuit book that had 5 biscuit books in one to my brother. Love. An Apple Watch.
Probably when I was with my mom and I got her like some jewelry.
Love. And I gave my 3-year-old cousin Grayson a dinosaur because he's obsessed with dinosaurs. Love. A fuzzy vest. Give. To give.
Give.
To give. Give.
I think it's better to give.
To give. To give. 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 To give. Give.
Give.
Give. Give. Because it's much helpful. Because so like you could share and you could like help people.
Because I'd rather give love than I get it. Because it's good to give people stuff.
Because not a lot of people have a lot of presents that they get. Because it's nice to give people stuff. There are people that don't have things and we could give them things that they don't have. Because it's caring for others. Because some people might need it more than I do.
Because it's thoughtful to others and they might make you happy.
I like to buy presents for people. Some people get less toys. Because there are lots of people who are homeless and don't have the things they need.
Isn't that nice? Nice to see those kids. We've got another one coming next week. Amanda, we've had pretty good reception on the first one, right?
Yes, so the first video, the Santa edition, we released last Thursday, and since then we've reached over like 11,000 people, and it's been liked over 4,000. It's been viewed, 4,000 times, and it's one of our top performing posts on the Facebook right now.
So stay tuned. Keep watching Facebook. Watch this one coming out tomorrow if you missed that, and next week we'll have our last one before the holidays. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
What a special beginning for our board meeting this evening. Ms. Ferguson, you've got a group tonight, starting with the children in the early grades, going all the way through the high school, and we're going to talk about graduation. Graduation ready.
All right. Well, hello, board members and Dr. Rollins. I am Stacy Ferguson, the proud principal at Turnbow Elementary School. It's a pleasure to present to you tonight on the 4th step in the Staircase to Educational Excellence, Graduation for All. And boy, we could just not do a program tonight because Matthew and Isaac just did it for us, because I think Springdale Schools has done what it takes to get those kids graduation ready, and they were great examples for us. So great leeway for our team tonight in our program. So as our team was planning for our presentation, we felt who better to hear from than our students, because if that's what we are doing to get our students in front of you, we're going to get our students in front of you in a different way so they can share what graduation ready means to them and how they are preparing for graduation. So the past 3 months, you've been able to watch videos captured inside our schools of students demonstrating how we teach them all, how we ensure learning for all, and how we learn together. Tonight, we wanted to bring a panel of students to you in a live format to let them explain how they are graduation ready. We chose students that attended our feeder patterns of Turnbow and Sonora Elementary on to Sonora Middle School and are now Bulldogs at Springdale High School. So you're going to get to hear from them and how they have become graduation ready and what that even means to them. So on the desk in front of you are some index cards. So if you have any questions or comments for us, Dr. Smith will get those to us and we can respond or answer any questions you might have and get those back to you. Pardon?
You want us to swap seats with you?
Not yet. We are going to do that, yes. So on my team tonight, I'd like to introduce them to you is Dr. Regina Stuman, principal at Sonora Elementary School, Dr. Martha Dodson, she's the principal at Sonora Middle School, and Mr. Pete Jinks, our Springdale High School principal. We have 3 student representatives with us tonight that will be asking questions of high school students about being graduation ready. I brought along with me a 5th grade student ambassador from Turnbow Elementary. This is Blake Johnson. Blake is a part of our Gifted and Talented program. He's a member of our Turnbow Tempo Choir, and he loves to play soccer at the Springdale Youth Center.
Good evening, Board. Dr. Rollins. I am proud to present you Riley Gill, who is Sonora's elementary representative tonight, and just a little bit about her. Riley is a member of East and will soon be representing Sonora at the upcoming East Conference in Hot Springs. She is also in GT. She's a member of our Sharp Owlets Honor Choir and was recently elected by her classroom to be the representative on our S3T team, which stands for our Sonora Scholar Student Team.
Good evening. The Sonora Middle School student representative tonight is Douglas Bajang. This is Douglas right here. Douglas is a 7th grade student at Sonora Middle School. He is a proud Spartan football player, and he is also on the boys choir. So I'm proud to have him speak with us tonight. School board and Dr. Rollins, we would like to do something a little bit different. We're going to ask you all to switch out, and if you would take a seat in our audience, we are going to have our Springdale High School students sit in your seats and have an opportunity to answer some questions from Sonora Elementary, Turnbow Elementary, and Sonora Middle School students. Thank you.
Welcome, everyone. I would like for our Springdale High School students to introduce themselves and state what Springdale schools they have attended.
Okay, I'm Braden Meredith. I attended Turnbow Elementary, J.O. Kelly Middle School, Sonora Middle School, Lakeside Junior High, and I am currently a senior at Springdale High School.
Hi, my name is Tudor Vang, and I attended Turnbow Elementary, Sonora Middle School, Lakeside Junior High, and I am currently a senior at Springdale High School.
Good evening. My name is Mark Solis. I attended Turnbow Elementary, Joe Kelly Middle School, George Junior High, and I am now a senior at Springdale High School.
My name is Garrett Vaughn. I attended both Turnbow and Sonora Elementary. I went to Sonora Middle School, Lakeside Junior High, and I'm currently a junior at Springdale High School.
Hello, my name is Indu Sen. I attended Turnbow Elementary, Sonora Middle School, and Lakeside Junior High. I'm currently a junior at Springdale High School.
Hi, my name is Kevin Nahara. I've attended Sonora Elementary, Sonora Middle School, Lakeside Junior High, and I am currently a sophomore at Springdale High School.
Great job, guys. All right, so we're going to look at our monitors and take a quick look into our elementaries and our middle school and see what these kids know about being graduation ready.
Hi, I'm Shelby with Bulldog TV. Today we're traveling to Turnbow Elementary, Sonora Elementary, and Sonora Middle School to find out what graduation ready means to them. Let's go! What does graduation ready mean to you?
Graduation ready means to Yeah, you're on grade level or above grade level and you have really good grades.
That you are ready and you have good grades and you are going to be going to be successful and try your best.
It means that I get out my book box and read lots and lots of books.
I think graduation ready means that like you're like basically like on the expectations, like you're just like there already.
Well, graduation ready, I think that means like just being like all A's and, you know, trying your best, because you might not get all A's if you're trying your best, but like just trying in general. So.
To be prepared and like have good grades, have a big future ahead of you.
I read a lot and to get ready to graduate.
It means it's really important to me because we do a lot of writing stuff.
Graduation ready means to me that you're ready to face anything and that you are actually really trying and not trying.
That I'll have a good future and that I have to be ready for the future and it's successful.
It means to get ready to graduate and to move on to another level, for at least to me.
I think it means to get ready for graduation and be serious.
We take math tests and then our teacher gives us the scores, so then we know what grade level we're on.
I think it means that you've learned all you can in the lower level, and then you can go to the higher level.
It means that you are ready to keep going, and you're just ready to go on to the next step.
Reading.
I think it means like ready to graduate, to go to the next grade and finish school and probably go to a college.
It means, like, to me, it means you are already knowledged. Your teacher already teach you about stuff and you're ready to communicate with the other people at middle or high or junior.
Means if you're ready to graduate, you will go to first grade if you were in kindergarten. That's what it means.
To get us to the next level of life.
Graduation ready means to you that you're ready to do something bigger when you're older.
Springdale High School students Tujer, Endu, and Mark. Can you please tell us what graduation ready means to you?
Well, Tujer, you can go ahead and start with that.
Okay. So first, I'd like to thank the school board for letting us sit up here tonight. And so to answer your question, personally, throughout my career as a student of Springdale Public Schools, it took time for me to find the answer. And so through middle school, I've always struggled with English as a subject. But as I went through junior high and high school, I saw that English had AP and pre-AP. So I chose to take the pre-AP English and AP English to challenge myself. And as of right now, I feel confident that I can pass the AP exam in May. And to answer your question, what it means to be graduation ready, I believe that it is to have the ambition and mental fortitude to achieve a goal, no matter the difficulties, such as I did with my English.
And then,
Throughout my high school career, I have been academically challenged. I have been taking 6 AP advanced placement classes that are designed to teach me like how college is. the AP classes are really challenging, but yet they're there to help me. When I was in elementary school, my principal, Miss Ferguson, she introduced me to a reading program. What was it called, Ashley? They are reading. Yeah. Well, she encouraged me to keep on reading and to push myself to have more knowledge. As I gone to middle school and over here, all my teachers, they encouraged me to push myself beyond academic. They encouraged me to read nonfictions and higher high school level English. While I was in high school here, my teacher, they told me to take AP classes. They thought that that would help me. So I took 6 AP classes already, and the AP classes the AP classes are designed to help me prepare. So I'm sorry guys, I'm a little bit nervous. It's just my first time doing public speaking, and so I'm not really that. I'd like to start over again. Okay. So I've been to me the graduation ready means to when to take on challenges. I've been taking on challenges since my elementary school year. When I first came to America, I didn't know any single English, and so going up all throughout the year, I've been facing challenges to overcome to learn my English here, and so I have been taking all the other classes that could help me succeed in the future.
Well, Blake, to answer your question, for me personally, to be graduation ready means to be able to take on and tackle any obstacle that life throws at you and be able to overcome it through the skills that you've acquired. To me, this also means challenging yourself throughout life. And ways I've done this is through Law Academy, AP and college level courses, doing sports, soccer and track. And all that includes time management. For me, that's been a struggle. But the courses that I'm taking have actually helped with that. And being graduation ready could also entail being prepared. Being prepared is a big part of life. And that would be not only for college, if that's the path you choose to take, but also for life in general. So some of the things that you have to do to be prepared for life and for a life that entails college would be community involvement, I believe, is a big part of that. Being someone in your community that expands on how you can help people. It's not just a small community, it's how you can bring everybody together and make a big impact even if you are just one person. For me, this has been started very early on because of programs that are offered at Springdale School District, such as GT and Duke Tip, which have been offered since middle school and elementary. So it's something that Springdale School District has obviously pushed very hard from early on, that you need to be prepared, and that starts very early on. And one thing that I also see that Springdale School District does very well that helps us prepare for life is diversity. Our school district, as you were able to see earlier with the presentation, we are very diverse, and this is a very diverse world. So being able to prepare yourself through school is a beautiful thing that I appreciate very much, and I'm very thankful for Springdale School District and the school board for giving me the opportunity. Everything that I have mentioned has all been made possible through my personalization of my education, which is something that I can't be more grateful for. It's something that I have been able to, so I can focus on what I want to do in life. As we saw, we have a Navy man here who was able to choose his course from early on in high school, and it has, like he said, laid out a path for him from very early on. And some teachers that have influenced me personally have been Mrs. Tibbs, Mrs. Shattuck, Ms. Lockhart, Hignite Cottle, and countless more teachers that it would take forever to mention, because every teacher that I've ever come in contact with has always done their best effort to try to influence me to make me a better person, not only for my school, but for my community as a whole. That's my answer. Thank you.
Now let's see what our elementary and middle school students do at their schools to help them graduate.
What do you do at your school to help you graduate?
I'm in advanced classes and I'm above grade level.
They help us by teaching us things that we are going to need to be able to be successful in graduating to go to the next level.
It helps me to learn and know everything I can so I can go to another grade.
I think my school helps me get ready to graduate by always like pushing us to try to go above what we're supposed to be doing and making us do like homework so we can like get ready for the school.
I kind of just try my best because I get that motivation from my teacher, Miss Spurlock, to get the motivation I need.
They ask us questions like, what is your plan for your future? And they mostly motivate us to get things done and like help us with things we need help with.
Read and do math.
Well, we do a lot of reading and writing and math.
What they do to help me graduate is they give me books and tips to help me with what I'm working on.
They teach us, and it's like hard work, and they push us to try our best and to make us successful in life. And
our school helps us graduate by like teaching us stuff with the map test and all those kind of stuff.
They give me books and they give me tests so I can be smarter.
Means that you practice a lot and you know your multiplication and reading and the words and all that.
Well, first there's reading, music, well, pretty much every class I have, even GT.
To help us get graduation ready, what they do is motivate us, push us, and make sure everyone can keep going.
They help you get ready?
Like giving us homework and helping us to complete the tests and that we do. And teaching us everything that we should know for the next test that we take.
We learn and they make sure we know more so we can know about other grades and we read.
Well, they help me read and they like do math problems and stuff. They make me do those stuff like to get ready.
Well, they help us learn about community and how other people can have struggles in life. And they also help us learn about struggles and how mistakes can help us learn about a lot.
And you read so you can get a high level. So then when you're 5th grade, you're not on like a 1st grade level, you're actually on the
Springdale students Braden, Kevin, and Garrett, can you please tell us what you have done in Springdale schools to help you graduate?
Okay, I was introduced to the Gifted and Talented program from a young age. I started in 1st grade at Turnbow Elementary and continued with the program until 7th grade at Sonora Middle School. This is where I was introduced, or this is where I had 2 amazing teachers, Miss Bay and Mr. Smithy. And so they really taught me how to challenge what I know and ask questions outside the classroom. Going from that, I entered Springdale High School, where I decided to join the IB program. The IB program is all about knowing when to ask questions, and the students ask questions themselves. So a big part of IB is the extended essay. Over the summer between junior and senior year, students choose a topic of their own choice. So I did mine over biology, where I asked, what effect does urea have on photosynthesis in Elodea canadensis? And so the extended essay is a big, long paper. It's a big research paper that you do in about 3 months, and it's 4,000 words. That's your maximum. And so my paper ended up being 29,000, or not 29,000, 29 pages long. And so for me personally, to help graduate, I had to learn to know when to ask questions.
What have I done in Springdale schools that has helped me to get to where I am today? I have attended school as much as I possibly could to expand my knowledge. The way I saw school was from 4th grade to 5th grade was to learn the language, learn how to read, learn how to spell, and most importantly, learn how to speak the language, because before I didn't know. 6th grade through 7th grade was my trial and error year. If I went home and played games, I didn't learn anything but to be lazy and get behind on school. Those 2 years, I had to go to summer school. Instead of having fun with my family, playing with friends, being able to take a break from school, I couldn't, because I had nothing to do but to go to summer school during my break time. Later on, 8th grade and 9th grade, that was really my year when I started to change my life around. Studying for tests, working hard on those couple of last days when people tend to give up. I fought through the struggle to make it to where I am today, a sophomore at Springdale High School. But I wouldn't be here without my amazing teachers. They are Miss Burlock from Sonora, my 4th grade teacher, Miss Rigby, my 5th grade teacher, Miss Horner, my 6th grade teacher, Mr. Wilson, my 7th grade teacher, Miss Lewitard, my 8th grade teacher, Miss Evie from my 9th grade teacher, and lastly, Miss Edwards, my 10th grade teacher. Thank you.
I think football has been my biggest influence in my graduation readiness. I've been playing since I was in the 2nd grade, and over this course, I've broken 3 bones, torn 1 tendon, and gotten countless bumps and bruises. My coaches have always done a tremendous job monitoring my academic progress along with my physical progress, even if it means throwing in a few friendly reminders now and then. But most importantly, my coaches have also taught me that no matter how successful you are, football doesn't last forever, so you need to have something to fall back on. I think this is why I make such a conscientious effort to do well in the classroom and to improve my ACT score.
So ladies and gentlemen of the board, I think we'll transition now. If you would, as you're walking up there, be reflective about what you heard from these students, both from the video and also our students here. I like to tell my students as we do this, I'm incredibly proud of you guys, and thank you for all you did. Nice job. Well, it's my tough task to wrap this up, and I know I couldn't do any better than what we heard from our students just now and also in the video, but I just challenge you to maybe some high points of what you heard. I heard things about trying to prepare for their future, ready to do something. I love that term, ready. What are you ready to do? And as you watch those kids in the elementary and the middle schools talking on the video about getting ready to do the next thing. That's what something I heard, achieving a goal. We heard a lot about reading, how important reading and writing is, and preparing for the next level. You know, when you're in younger grades, you're always preparing for the next grade level. When you get to high school, you're preparing for what you're going to do after high school. But the idea about graduation ready, when we first tackled this, I tell you, I was a little worried about it because it can be a very ambiguous statement. But when I heard these students, both on the video and students from my school, I heard things that really struck me, and one of those was taking on challenges and preparing for the next level. So we thank you for your time. We thank you for your patience. We appreciate you allowing us to have your seats, and thank you again.
I know there's some of the students that had to leave, but are any of your parents, the kids that were on the panel up here, your parents here tonight? There's one. Here's one. Yes. Right here. So, just my appreciation. I know the board is appreciative too, but you got to understand that sitting up here, I mean, I'm in my 50s and I'm nervous, so it really doesn't matter. You guys did a fantastic job. I mean, just to have the courage to come up here to speak in front of a bunch of people you don't know. I mean, so pat yourselves on the back. You did a great job. That's just incredible work. We really appreciate that. And thanks for you ladies and the whole team putting this together. We really appreciate that.
Dr. Smith, if you're ready, we'll move to the next section. Thank you all very much.
Good evening, Dr. Rollins, members of the board. So we are now moving on to secondary. The first person I'd like to bring forward is Mr. Mike Fontenopoulos. As you know, he's taken on the role of academic coach for Springdale Schools, and he's been in that role for 4 months. He's doing an amazing job, and at this time, he's going to share some information with you about AP.
Thank you, Dr. Smith. Hello, school board, and Dr. Rollins, Ms. Newman. I'm excited to be here tonight. The last time I think we chatted here in this room, it was an opportunity to applaud those teachers that were at or above the global means when it comes to their pass rate on the advanced placement test. Tonight, what I would like to talk about are those AP scholars and celebrate those guys and talk about how we're trying to grow that maybe here in the Springdale School District. Got to put on my glasses. So the first thing that I would like to try to remind us is if you are going to take an AP class, what we'd like to see is at the end of that school year is you're going to take an exam and you're going to try and make a 3 or 4 or 5 on that exam. And of course, if you make a 3, 4, or 5, then you're considered to have received college credit depending on what school that you go to. So if you'll go to page 16 there in front of you, we'll take a look at the artifacts that I was going to try to chat about. So the advanced placement people recognize certain scholars, and so that's where I want to kind of turn our attention. The first one is the advanced placement scholar. This is a student who has scored a 3 or higher on 3 or more exams. You can see last year we graduated 72 students across the district that were like this. Advanced placement scholar with honor is the scholar who averages a 3.25 score on all the AP exams that they have with at least a 4 on 4 or more of these exams. Now, there's going to be a little bit of confusion here. I don't want you to misunderstand. We're going to keep seeing that average go up, and we're going to keep seeing the number of tests that they go up that they've got to pass. What the AP people are trying to do is cut down on the number of kids that might lay their head down and not reward those kids that might go in and just take a 1. Well, and you'll see what I'm talking about in a minute. Advanced placement scholar with distinction. You'll see that we had, it's a student that averages a 3.5 on all the AP exams that they take and scores at least a 3 on 5 or more of those exams. And notice that we had 28 scholars with distinctions last year graduate from Springdale Public Schools. And then finally, the Advanced Placement National Scholar. I think this is one that just kind of should really grab our attention. This is a scholar who received an average score of at least 4 on all AP exams that they took. and they must have scored a 4 or higher on 8 or more of these. So this is a student that probably more than likely started in the 9th grade with their AP Human Geography, and then were at least taking 2 for their, help me here with my math. They're going to take at least 2, and in 1 year after that junior year, they're going to take 3. And they're not laying down on any of them, if you will. Does that make sense? If you'll turn over on page 17, you'll see who we were talking about with those 6 graduates. You can see that Ms. Durfee, Ms. Hignite, and Mr. Madra all graduated. They all passed 9 of these. These are 9 advanced placement exams that they scored a 4 or more on. You can see Mr. Keaton Holbert did this with 11. Go down to see Mr. Trevor Clark. His was at 8. He passed 8 advanced placement exams with a score of 4 or higher. And you're not supposed to have favorites, but I've got one, and that's Caitlin Brinza, and it's because I had her in class as a sophomore. And she had 12 advanced placement classes and exams where she scored 4 or higher. This is just these are the 6, again, national AP scholars. There was a total of 119 scholars that are advanced placement scholars that graduated from the Springdale School District. And personally, I want to say thank you to this school board and to Dr. Rollins for your continued efforts in supporting those teachers and getting those teachers ready to continue to grow this number. Thank you.
Thank you, Marty.
It's hard to fathom 12 AP exams and then to see that they score a 4 or 5 on every single one of those is just pretty amazing. So we're setting the bar high in Springdale. The next person I'd like to introduce is Dr. Joel Brown. If he would please come forward. He's got some news to share about his speech and debate students.
Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the board. As she said, my name is Joel Brown, and I have the wonderful pleasure of being the debate and forensics coach at HAR-BER High School. I'm just going to give you a little general information, and then I'm going to let these guys brag about themselves. Our team is really trying to spread its wings this year as we are in the hunt for Springdale's first national title in speech and debate as we try to manage that endeavor. We have expanded and we have a forensics class at school so that we can actually do forensics events and have a forensics part of our team, which is the more acting or competitive acting and speaking aspect along with the debate aspect itself. This year the students have already amassed almost 200 trophies and taking sweepstakes, which is the overall in almost actually at every tournament that we have attended this year. This past weekend at Rogers Heritage, they took first place overall and first and second place in nearly every event that we were a part of. We are also hoping to have a 3-time championship this year in mock trial, as well as being the newly crowned Arkansas Student Congress state champions. So we've got a lot of firsts this year. We've got a lot of new students right now. The program is around 110 students. About 90 of those are actually competitive members of the team. And so we are really trying a lot of new things to try to spread our wings and get the not only academic advantage but the competitive advantage that it allows. Some of these ladies and gentlemen behind me are some of our standout students who have really pushed the envelope in what we do. So I'm going to let them introduce themselves, tell you what grade they're in, and kind of some of the accolades that they've already gotten this year alone. So.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Andrew Whitaker. Thank you for having me here. I'm a senior at HAR-BER, and at the Arkansas Student Congress that we went to, I was actually the captain of our team, and I was elected Speaker of the House. So what that means is out of about 80 members of a House and 10 other candidates running against me, I was chosen to lead the floor debate and to run the session. And this was the 4th year that we actually had the Speaker of the House from HAR-BER High in House 1. So I got to continue that legacy, which was really cool. And I also received the highest scoring delegate in my house. So what that means is I did such a good job as speaker and throughout the tournament that I at the end of the day, had the best score, and I got the award. And I also am the first person from HAR-BER to qualify for the YMCA Youth Conference on National Affairs in North Carolina. And this is the first year that Arkansas Student Congress has qualified for that, and I'm one of 4 who will get to represent Arkansas at this competition this summer. And I'm also the captain of our mock trial team, and we've been working really hard to hopefully bring home that 3rd state championship in a row. So thanks for having me here.
Hi, my name is Caleb Strickland. I'm a junior at HAR-BER, and my biggest accolade this year is recently I was decided as the first ever, actually from HAR-BER, our All-American Academic Scholar, which basically means that I've amassed enough points from competition, which you receive about, I believe it's about 3 per round of event, and that's only if you win, you receive large amounts of points. And so I've collected at least 750, and along with my 3.5 GPA is the minimum requirement, which allows you to be considered one of these scholars, which is one of the largest honors that the NSDA, the organization that manages all of our debate and forensics types things, actually allows. So that's one of my highest accolades. And recently, me and my partner were 1 place away from qualifying for the Kentucky National, and we plan to qualify for it at our next opportunity given.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Olivia Moore. I'm actually the captain of the debate team at HAR-BER, and some of my biggest accomplishments this year is that I was a delegate for the Student Congress team, and I was ranked superior in floor debate, committee, caucus, and parliamentary procedure, as well as this past year, I was a witness when we got first at mock trial. And I'm also an attorney for this next year when we hope to win as well. For college, I'm planning hopefully to attend Hendrix College, where I will continue with Student Congress and mock trial. And as for myself and my public forum partner, Riley Neal, we're looking to get a national bid for public forum. And this past weekend, I was actually able to get first in the IPDA at Heritage High School. And the weekend before that, I got first in congressional debate. And so I'm looking for many more wins, not just for myself, but for my whole team. So thank you for having us.
Hey everybody, I'm Riley, and I am the assistant captain of the debate team. We see that last year I was a first place alternate to go and compete nationally in the debate circuit, and so I'm going to continue to try to do that with my PF partner Olivia this year. I also have the opportunity of being an attorney on the mock trial team, and also attended Student Congress this year. But we see that debates also really given me a lot of opportunities, as this summer I was able to go to Missouri State, which is the college that I've applied to, and actually get to meet with a debate coach and work at a clinic with them and their team to learn different ways that people debate, and also learn tips from them and get to experience how debate would be in college. So that's really helped my influence on just applying to colleges, as both with Missouri State and UCA where I'm applying. I've talked to the debate coaches there so I can continue on with my debate career. And so debates really helped me with not only just in high school, but also looking into college and making that application easier to influence my future.
I'm CJ Parrish. I'm a junior at HAR-BER High School, and one of the most recent things I've done is I was one of the first students at HAR-BER High School to qualify for the Kentucky Nationals, along with who's going to speak behind me, Mr. Wagle. And so I qualified in congressional debate, which is similar to Student Congress, which I also competed in. But we're going to be one of the first students from Arkansas to begin to represent Arkansas on a national level. And we continue to compete in congressional and many other events. I got first recently at Rogers Heritage in congressional. I got first in Russellville in congressional. And we're continuing to expand our program by including more and more sophomores as we go on, who are starting to shine better than we ever could have imagined.
Hi, my name is Allie Sorensen, and I am a junior at HAR-BER High School, and I am actually the captain of our forensics program, which is fairly new. We actually this year just got our first 2 classes to actually have forensics and focus on forensics. Recently, at the Kentucky tournament that we attended and the Kansas City tournament, I qualified for semifinals in an event called Dramatic Interpretation, which is my main event. I also
won first place for dramatic interpretation at Little Rock Central this past year as well as I compete in prose, poetry, program of oral interpretation, and many other events such as the like. And I'm so glad that you guys had us for tonight, and thank you.
Good evening. My name is Soja Swagel. I'd like to thank you for having me here today. I'm a junior at HAR-BER, and some of the accolades I've gotten this year. So first of all, like CJ already brought up, is the fact that I was qualified for nationals in informative speaking, which is just a memorized speech, and you have to use visual aids and posters to convey your idea. And also, I'm the only junior attorney on this year's mock trial team, so that'll be interesting. And also, I was elected clerk for Arkansas Student Congress, which means I kept precedents, counted votes, and helped, along with Andrew, conduct the session for House 1. And I think that's it. And I think, yeah.
And the accolades just keep rolling in. It has been a wonderful year. We've had a lot of great support from who I think is one of the best principals in the world, Danny Brackett, but also just support from the staff and administration at HAR-BER has just been wonderful for the team. We are hoping, again, like I said, to bring a national title home to Springdale. We will be going to the University of Kentucky Tournament of Champions in April, followed by our national tournament, which will actually happen in June at Fort Lauderdale, Florida. So hopefully we'll have some great stuff to report out to you. So thanks again for having us this evening, and we certainly appreciate it.
We definitely have some amazing students. I want to take this moment to say, you know, these young men and women that have come forward, you know, the foundation is laid at the elementary level, and then we see it through at the middle school and junior high, and we're very blessed to be able to share at the high school level what they've done. But, you know, the foundation is really laid early on, so I want to thank them one more time. Thank you. At this time, if I could have Mr. Jinks come forward, he's got some news to share about his VEX robotics team.
Thank you, Dr. Smith. Ladies and gentlemen of the board, I'd like to introduce to you two representatives of two of our robotics teams. This is Real Aluminum and the Bolt Dogs, and they have some of their robots with them. To my left is Matthew Arnold, followed by Sailor Sosa, and then Jacob Burke. There he is right there. These guys are, and then Becca Wallace, who is their coach. Miss Wallace is a physics teacher at Springdale High School. The Real Aluminum team placed first this past weekend. No, excuse me. Both teams placed first this past weekend at Claremore, Oklahoma. They got the Judges Award, which was recognition for judges on special accomplishments. And then the Real Aluminum team got the Excellence Award at Alma for the top all-around team with robot performance and judging. So I want to let these individuals talk a little bit about their experiences with the robotics team, and we want to tell them congratulations and we're proud of their accomplishments.
So basically in robotics, you have to build a robot for the competition each year and try to see whoever's best of the best and build a robot. So this year we had to build a robot that could stack cones. We could pick them up and then put them on our mobile goal, that's what we call it. That weighs 3 pounds. And then we have to put the mobile goal over an 1.5-inch diameter pipe. We have to drive over it, so we have to make sure our robot has ground clearance. We have to drive over it to store it. It weighs 3 pounds, so it's kind of weighted. It's difficult to hold it.
I mean, this is my first year of robotics at Springdale High School. I'm a junior. And I kind of just jumped into it, like not knowing what I was doing. And Miss Small and like the engineering academy teachers, like Miss Wallace here, have kind of like really helped push me forward to learning about this. And like, kind of like my biggest thing was like learning how to program. And like the engineering academy like pushes really hard for that, which is really good. The competition we went to in Claremore, Matthew really helped me out, and his group did. So I can kind of do the same thing. Like you said, the hardest part of the competition is picking up the weight cones.
Yeah.
So,
Can you do some more demonstration?
Yes, one of the most difficult parts is lifting the cones. They're not really heavy, but we have to get them high because we have a total of 80 cones. We have to lift them all the way up. So we have to raise our robot quite high, and we may drop it down. But we have to get them pretty high to stack as many as we can in 1 minute and 45 seconds. So we have to continuously stack them and stack them and stack them, and then use our forklift to scoop up the back of the mobile goal and just put it in the zone so we can put it in the back corner over the pipe I talked about earlier.
Through this robotics team, I actually learned a whole lot more than I expected to learn. For example, I learned the engineering and design process, which I honestly thought it would just be, building robots and seeing how they work and things like that, but it turned out that it was a whole lot more than that, and it's really been my outlet. I have a lot of AP classes, and I feel like when it comes to robotics, it's the only place where I can really calm down and be able to just work on something that I really like.
So when we're looking at this robot, how many people are on your team, or is it?
Well, we have 6 back at our school on our team, and we're all trying to work together to build it, but we all have our own specific jobs that we do.
Okay.
So maybe one of us would be building it primarily, and one of us would be programming it and setting up sensors and designing it. Like this claw, it took us a day to do it, but it took us 2 months to build this entire tower that lifts up. So we're just trying to find out how to build things and design them and write them down and do it the most effective way and fast and efficient.
And how about yours then?
Well, mine's not tall and outstanding like his is, but it runs up like a chain link. So we have sensors that run off of actual height instead of taking time variable. So it calculates angles and real life standards. I would demonstrate grabbing a cone, but this motor burned out before I came. Yeah, I can get 3 times the size of his too.
Oh, wow.
Totally.
Okay.
Oh, sure.
But I have something similar to his, and grabbing the cones like his. So it runs off of a pulley, so kind of like his, but mine's placed in the front, and it runs off a gear ratio, because you can't, because these cones are heavy, and the robot's not really heavy by themselves. So like his is doing, you have to drive up on it and scoop it without your robot flipping over. You gotta get over a clearance of, like he said, 1.5 inches and a 2-inch, right? With pipes, and it sounds pretty simple, but you get up in there and your robot kind of struggles getting over it. But that's why you make a pulley at the time to grab it. And you simple, so that we're gonna make a Ferris wheel, which allows you to scoop in and then take it up. So the problem with this is that you can drive up on it and you have to move forward while taking it up. The next thing I'm making is going to scoop it up. So it requires not one motor on a gear ratio, it's going to take at least 2. So.
I see all those pieces of metal with the holes in them that I guess the materials that you build. Where do you get that? Do you fabricate those?
It's part of VEX. VEX is a very it's really no example, but they're the people that made the hex bugs that are made for little kids, and just an introduction into engineering and what the really cool things engineering can do. And so they are a company that made all these products, and part of the challenge is also only using their products and things similar to them. Otherwise, it's just not valid for competition. And so, like they said, we have gone to competition, and we do now qualify for state, both here and in Oklahoma. So we will get to go to both of those. I'm hoping, if they're on different days.
I'd be remiss if I didn't introduce again Ms. Wallace here. Ms. Wallace is a second-year teacher at Springdale High School, and her and Ms. Small keep principal's hours. They're there till 8 or 9 every night, working with these kids and coming up on weekends to help those kids out.
So I want to thank her in front of everybody for all the effort she's done to help us out.
So obviously you like it. You like doing it.
Yeah, I have a hard time keeping them in class because they want to go to that work.
That's good stuff right there. Any of your parents here tonight? Everybody in high school, their parents are.
Now you're getting it.
You guys did a great job.
Thank you.
Fascinating. Thank you.
I'm going to give another shout out to Ms. Wallace. She got to spend a weekend in my office trying to get course code approval to teach that course at Springdale High School. And so quality time there on a Saturday and Sunday getting that done. So I really appreciate her work on that as well. So thank you, Ms. Wallace. At this time, if I can have Ms. Mercado Uyo. She's got some exciting news to talk about Poetry Slam. So.
Good evening. Thank you guys for having us today. This year, Har-BER High School hosted the 8th annual Northwest Arkansas Spanish Poetry Slam. It was the first year that it was done at this school. This year's theme was Celebrando Nuestras Raíces y Moldeando Nuestro Futuro, celebrating our roots and molding our future. And it was really geared towards Spanish native speakers, but we did have non-Spanish speakers in our upper level Spanish classes, so those taking AP Language and AP Literature. It was on November 14th, and we had many businesses from Northwest Arkansas, specifically in Springdale, that donated for prizes that night. And it was really at a fruition from the efforts of Dr. Freddie Bowles at the University of Arkansas and Jessica Sliger, a former Spanish teacher at the Rogers Public Schools. And what this event is meant to do is motivate our Spanish speakers to continue learning and bettering their first language, because we understand the importance of first language acquisition and how that improves and impacts their achievement in their second language, or even for some their third. So we really wanted to have and continue the legacy of biliteracy at Springdale. So we have our first place winner for the advanced category here, Jennifer Lopez, and I'll let her introduce herself.
Hello, my name is Jennifer Lopez, and I'm a junior from Har-BER High School. During this year's Poetry Slam, I got my first ever first place on the advanced Spanish title. I'd like to appreciate you guys for letting me be up here, and also for allowing me to take AP classes such as AP Spanish. That has really helped me improve my Spanish. Today I have a little something that I kind of mixed up kind of last minute, but hopefully you guys like it. We all have experiences that change our viewpoints, like sadness when someone hurts you, or happiness when you see someone smile, fear when you lose someone you love. Experiences that we face all in different ways. Poetry is special. It's an expression of ideas and feelings. It's a way of getting loose, and it's a way of letting go of your feelings and writing them down. All the feelings that you have stored inside you. We don't just need poetry for Spanish speakers. We need poetry for French speakers, for English speakers, for Chinese and Marshallese people, because it's open to everyone. Poetry helps builds connections with the community and with others. It creates diversity, love, hope. Poetry is universal. It's music to my ears, making rhythm in my head, and it creates opportunities to speak out. It improves critical thinking, empathy, insight, self-awareness, expression, and grades. Let's be the community that accepts the art of poetry to all, and lets the students be open about their feelings and emotions. Let's create outstanding poetry with the help of teachers and mentors. And let's be the people that stand united with the students that need it the most. Thank you.
Poetry translated, does it have the same, I know it'll have the same words, but will it have the same emotion and feeling as the first language that it was written in?
I feel like it doesn't really necessarily have the same emotion with language, but it's really the part that I find more important about poetry is the way that you show that emotion, and it really, builds that connection with people that may have the same experiences that you do. Any other questions?
Thank you so much, and I hope that next year, wherever that may be, whether it's in Springdale or Rogers or Bentonville, since they did participate this year, first time ever, that you guys join us, because some of these poems and these stories are just heart-wrenching, but they're also so inspirational, and to see these students who don't necessarily show high academic achievement in other areas, they really flourish and excel in this when we allow them to be who they are and express and feel like they can contribute something that they otherwise might not have. So thank you so much, and we hope to see you at our next events.
Good evening, Board. Honored to stand in front of you again. Dr. Rollins has asked me to share with you an experiment that we tried this year, and the purpose of our Scholars Night, and you probably have a little bit of information about it. I could have provided you more, but it was lengthy, and so I thought I would just quickly share the purpose. The purpose came about due to the fact that I met a young fifth grader that is in a feeder pattern for Har-BER High School, and talking with her, she's very, very articulate, very bright, and I asked her about her future, and she mentioned that she was going to leaving the district, basically, to go to a open enrollment charter school. And my only reply was, oh, baby, you just don't know the opportunities you have. And so in that, over a period of days and weeks, we as a team began to talk about it, and I began to look at data and begin to think that we need to let people know the things that are going on in Springdale schools. And to not belabor the point, we came up with academics, arts, and athletic accomplishments for Har-BER High School that we would share with fifth grade scholars, seventh grade scholars, and ninth grade scholars. And so we invited them and their parents to our school, our students, and some of them are here tonight, and I'm going to ask them to come on up because I want them to give you their perspective on what really took place that night. But some of the data that I was able to look at and put together, I want to share with you now. For instance, both Springdale High School and Har-BER High School, if you take the top students in their schools, outscored the highest scoring school in Northwest Arkansas, and they had 70 students that they tested. And if you take our top 70 kids, we both outscored them, and our score was 2.5 points higher than them. That's data that people don't understand and know. Our top students, and some of them you've seen tonight, are doing extremely well. So that was one of the pieces, and then we highlighted some of our arts accomplishments, and you are aware of many of those, so I won't share those with you now. We also highlighted athletic accomplishments, and in 13 years I was amazed as I was researching and going back and trying to remember. So, and the older I get, the more I forget. But we shared that with our parents and our students, those fifth graders, seventh graders, and ninth graders. And I think that was something that went very, very well, that I was very proud of. And we're going to get better at that. But our elementary principals said, can we bring all of our fifth graders next time? And I said, maybe we need to do that. But I've asked these students to kind of share their perspective on what took place that night.
So I had the honor of being a tour guide for our Scholars Night, and basically I took a group of fifth graders around to each of the stations we had set up and just showed them around Har-BER High and kind of talked with them when I could. But we kind of displayed our theater program, our choral program. We had a mini pep rally. We saw our CNC and engineering kind of department. We got to talk to a lot of student athletes, and we had all our clubs set up, so all the main things that Har-BER has to offer that they can be a part of when they're a sophomore. And we also had a couple other things. But the main thing that I learned is we got to share a lot of what the actual opportunities at Har-BER are. So but when I came as a freshman going into a sophomore year at Har-BER, I knew that there was a lot you could do at Har-BER, but I had no idea what I wanted to do. So I kind of wish I had this opportunity like they did to kind of see on display what Har-BER has to offer and what they can do when they get there. Like our houses, like Meds, Feds, and all the others, how we have selective learning and individualized learning to personalize what they're going to experience. And we have clubs designed to back that up and show off what they can do and give them future opportunities in college and career-based ideas. And it was really awesome to get to see fifth graders, because I know in fifth grade I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life, kind of talk to me about what they planned on doing and what they wanted to do, and I got to talk to them about how some of the opportunities I have led me to where I'm going to go in the future for college, and how Har-BER really helped me get an idea of what I enjoyed doing and how I got to travel and compete with teams and other clubs at Har-BER, and just all that I got to see from my perspective that the fifth graders I know got to see and I know they were amazed by. It really is awesome to get to see what they're going to be and what they're going to accomplish when they grow up and get through Har-BER like I have. So thanks.
What was the reaction from some of the parents?
I think the parents really enjoyed it. They asked just as many questions, if not more, than their kids did. And they talked a lot about just what we got to do and kind of what AP classes I was in and how my extracurriculars kind of tied in with that and what time management skills I was taught and just everything that I've done at Har-BER, how I've managed to do that, and just what do you think that the best programs were at Har-BER and what should their kids be a part of, kind of.
And just to add on to what Andrew said, I was also a tour leader for the fifth grade group too. And this idea that Dr. Brackett had thought of, when I heard about it, I was like, this is a great way to showcase Har-BER and everything that we have. And as I was leading those kids to the CNC lab and the science lab, and also to see our choir and our drama department, you know, you could see their faces lit up every time they walked into the room. It's like, wow, this is really interesting. You know, we hear about stuff like this, but we never get to see it. So getting them that exposure to it will, I think it definitely drew their interest into coming to Har-BER, and to also the parents too, because they aren't sure exactly at this time. Like Andrew said, at fifth grade, I was worried about getting to soccer practice and being on time for that. But these kids are clearly looking forward into their future, and their parents are very heavily invested. And so the parents I had, they're asking me a lot of questions on how I managed my time, being involved in other clubs and extracurricular activities with that. And I told them an honest truth answer that Har-BER allows it all to happen. The things inside and outside of school, they try to work with you, making sure your teachers are willing to work with you. And I think we have probably one of the best staffs. I've talked to plenty of kids from Fayetteville, Bentonville, and they tell me about their issues, and I never really have too many to complain about with our teaching staff at Har-BER. So there's a lot of great things that went on that night, getting to show them our CNC program, which I've been a part of the past 2 years, had a great time working with Stowe Hoffius. And all the parents were amazed. They had no clue that we had that, or the electrical and plumbing lab that we just built. And then getting to take them to the science lab, I think one of the moms was maybe a doctor or had some expertise in that field, because she was going crazy while the kids were coming over here, and she was showing them all the cool things that we have to offer. And then just the demonstrations, you could see that the kids really wanted to get to this point in their life to experience that. So I think it had a big impact on all of the kids there. I didn't get to see how the 7th and 9th graders responded, but you could definitely tell the 5th graders were very enthused about all the opportunity that awaits for them, and they might want to rethink where they're choosing to go for their middle school and junior high experience to hopefully end up at Har-BER. So I think it was a great experience overall.
In conclusion, I would just like to give you a brief synopsis of what the agenda was. We had 15-minute meetings. All of the 5th graders and their parents were in the seminar room. The 7th graders and their parents were in the media center. And then upstairs in the dome room were 9th graders and their parents. 15 minutes, all student-led. We had one student talk, and by the way, all of our national merits, -1, were there, plus our student leaders. It was volunteer, which was probably the most proudest thing I was, is that students and staff volunteered to do this. After the 15 minutes, then they had stations. I'm an old basketball coach, so we did station work. We had 5 stations. One of them was the rotunda, where all of our clubs and organizations, other classes were presenting things. We had drones, we had the HoloLenses, we had our art teacher had the wheel, pottery wheel, 2 of them actually going with some students working that. And so they got to witness that, talk, ask questions. Then they went into a science lab where we actually turned pennies into gold. I think it's zinc oxide, isn't it? Yeah, that they put them, and then handed the pennies to those kids so that they could take with them. And they also got to pick up, and Calvin Cleveland was the one leading this. He said, "Here, Dr. Brackett, hold this, a cow's heart." And so I held it, and I thought, well, I've never seen one that big, so I didn't, and have dressed wild animals before, but never anything like that. And they also had 2 fetal pigs that were open for the kids to see, which was fascinating. Went in the choir room where they did a couple of numbers. They went into the PAC where a theater troupe did a small segment of the work that they had done earlier. Parents Just Don't Understand was the title of that. And I told them, I said, you need to change that to Principals Just Don't Understand. And then they went into the construction lab where there were, how many of y'all were in there?
There's about 6 or 8 students.
6 or 8 students had volunteered to come in, and the students led the whole conversation, the whole thing. Then we went into the arena for a Q&A time, and they came in with the cheerleaders, the Silver Stars, the band was playing, and then after that, we told them we were going to conclude with the alma mater, but before we would ask questions, we had one question openly, and that was, will the band play one more? And that was from a 5th grade student. And then after that, I told everyone positioned themselves that had been a part to let the parents and students come and ask questions. It went very, very well, and so we're looking forward to add on to this. And we had the opportunity to talk about not just our school district, because the goal is to keep them in the district. That was our goal, because this young 5th grader, who I think is a fantastic young lady, was going to leave the district, and she just didn't know what's being offered. So that is just a synopsis of what took place. Yes, sir.
Did you change your mind? 5th grade?
I don't know. You never know.
Are you still out?
We did have a lot of questions about the school she was wanting to go to and what the differences were. And these students did a really good job of addressing that. So it was, we're concluding that we just need to share the truth about Springdale schools. That's what we have to
This
do.
is a great model for the entire district. We all really appreciate what you've done here.
Well, the amazing thing is when the students are leading it, it goes really well. Proud of them. Thank you.
Great job, guys.
Thank you for being here so long tonight. Thank you. Thank you.
When Dr. Brackett brought that forward and was talking to me about it, I loved that it was called Scholars Night, and that the vertical meetings that we've been holding with the middle schools, junior highs, and high schools to support each other, we said, who's missing? We've got our elementaries, and so to support the elementaries, junior high, and high school all feeding in, these are great programs. The next item that I have is item D6, and just to give a quick report on the secondary initiatives that are happening. As you can imagine, trying to condense just a small portion of what Dr. Brackett was talking about and all the different things we've celebrated, it's very hard to kind of get it into bullet points. But the 3 things we always focus on in Springdale schools is our literacy, our numeracy, and of course our well-being of our students. And so in secondary, I just want to go over these 3 elements with you. Secondary, as you know, we're doing Springdale Reads across the district. In our secondary schools, we've taken a very big push for a culture of literacy. And what that means is there's 5 components of reading. 2 of them are really more of an elementary focus, and so we focus in our secondary schools on vocabulary, fluency, and comprehension. The middle schools are taking on the reading units of study approach, and if they're not an ELA students in the middle school, so all other content areas, and then all the junior highs and high schools are moving forward with a culture of literacy. So what does a culture of literacy mean? Well, we've broken it down into 2 components. We have what's happening in the building to support a culture of literacy, and what's happening in the classroom to support a culture of literacy. And so I really think the best way to illustrate it is just to give you some ideas. So in the building, we are really emphasizing our reading clubs, our book talks, having more book fairs. We're talking about vocabulary competition, in which, by the way, I was in a competition with some 7th graders and I did not win. Book posts. There's a lot more library engagement about what they're bringing forward, the book stories that are happening, and then classroom libraries that are being built across these schools. In the classroom, it's a slightly different approach because we really have to make sure that we have students engaged in the content. So in the classroom, we're really focusing on the literacy strategies. We're taking the constructing meaning, which supports our L's. We're increasing the reading assignment opportunities and what that looks like in the classroom and how do we bring forward text for students. We have increased our number of critical reading classes to support our students. We also brought empowering writers last year, so we're really finding a way to blend that approach with our ELD cards, which also supports our English language learners and how to get them more into the conversations and discussing. And then, of course, there's always been a discussion on our DOK. How do we really get deep with our discussion with our students? Then we have our numeracy. Well, we know students are not going to be very successful in numeracy if they don't have a strong literacy background. So bringing that along, we have a focus on numeracy. Last year in January, our TOSAs took on a different approach. I said every Monday, Dr. Rollins asked me, how do I know it's reaching the student level? How do I know it's reaching the student level? We can have great PD, but I want to make sure it's reaching the student level. So our TOSAs took on what was called Collaboration Planet. Planet as in plan, IT, Plan for Innovative Teaching. And they actually go out and co-teach strategies with teachers and then come back in PLCs and plan and then go back out, bring it back, and so forth. That's what we started last year, and we've brought in all the different components that I'd mentioned earlier. In addition to that, it was such a success, and teachers were having so much gains in their academics with their students that we decided to broaden it this year to all content areas. So in September and October in our professional development, we started bringing forward what we call the game plan. And that game plan template is a way to really make sure we're not missing any of these components for successful literacy and numeracy in our students. And then the last component is the well-being of our students, and we've had a lot of initiatives coming forward with our Race to the Top, and we've moved forward with them. Now we're just making sure that we're getting better at doing them. So just some things I wanted to discuss. We have our advisory programs that we're solidifying. We have our student-led conferences that we're finding different ways to reach families that we've not been able to reach before, looking at virtual components. We have our RTI processes that are getting stronger within our schools. We have our PLCs, of course, prime time, and then a lot of opportunities for students to learn about college experiences. So that was kind of in a quick nutshell, but those are some of the initiatives that are happening in our secondary schools.
Beautiful, Marcia. Thank you so much.
Yes. And the last thing is item D7. It used to be that to graduate from high school, you had to take a set of courses and you had to pass the courses. And if you did that, you graduated from high school. There's been a lot of legislation lately that has changed that, and not only does that have to be accomplished, but they're now adding other additional components. For instance, students now have to graduate with a digital class. If you don't have a digital component, you're not a graduate. You're not allowed to graduate. The other thing is that is with this year's seniors, so all students as of now have to have a digital class. Starting with this year's 11th graders, they have to take and pass the civics exam. So it will be rolled out the 16th of January, and we will know what that's going to look like. So this year's 11th graders have to score at least a 60% or better on that exam in order to graduate. And then the other thing that's just come through is that with this year's 9th graders, they have to take financial literacy standards. And those financial literacy standards have to be taken in grades 10th through 12th. The financial literacy standards are beautiful with our economics, but we teach economics in 9th grade. So we had to figure out a way, how do we reach our students in 10th, 11th, and 12th grade? So with the guidance of Dr. Rawlinson, we've talked about how do we personalize every single student's needs. So we have a different ways to meet that. We have a virtual component. We have a face-to-face class. If they take economics in grades 10 through 12, it will count. And we also were looking at, and which is the last item here, is a class called Quantitative Literacy. And this is not being offered to meet that requirement. It just so happens it does meet the requirement. Financial literacy, if you'll look at the frameworks for it, I'm not going to go in depth with it, but it really does talk about real-world problem solving, helping to draw a conclusion, personal finance opportunities for students to explore, and then also how does that apply to the economics. And so this is going to be a great course that I foresee a couple hundred students taking as their senior level course. It meets the fourth year graduation, but it also meets the financial literacy component that students will be required to take for graduation. So I just wanted to give you a heads up on that and let you know that those are things to come. Do you have any questions? All right, thank you.
Secretary report, Dr. Smith.
Thank you.
Dr. Slocum will give the pre-K through 5 report this evening. Thank you, Megan.
I'm going to combine my part with Dr. Morwich's part, if that's okay with everybody.
Efficiency.
Efficiency is my favorite. So we're going to be talking about empowering partnerships. We have been working since about the beginning of the year on the literacy intervention strategies and what our initiative is going to look like, not just from the past year where we did training for teachers, but beyond that, the scope and sequence of now how do we build or begin to build classroom libraries across our district. Forward Arkansas has contacted 4 different organizations and is in talks and working with those 4 organizations to bring forward potential benefactors that will help us to grow our classroom libraries, and so that is in progress. The Forward Arkansas will also have a Northwest Arkansas team that will put in seed money for those libraries to begin, which is also really exciting. And we are working with a plan for the partner to have a 3 to 5 year implementation cycle, meaning that we've got to first begin and then move forward. So we're seeking grants that would be continuous over a period of time and not just one shot. We are also in the process of writing a grant personally as our district to another potential partner, and that is based on a 3-year grant cycle program, and so that is still in the process of happening. And I have a meeting tomorrow night in Little Rock at 7:30 with 3 different publishers who have been coordinating and working with us to find ways to be able to give us a better than a give one buy one type approach, which would also help again grow our libraries. And teachers have taken upon themselves to do a donors choose process and are out and working those different avenues. So we're really excited about the partnerships that are coming forward, and all of that I think was spurred with Dr. Rollins' very clear directive to us that we've got to make literacy our focus. We've got to get a very consistent, clear focus and a sustained focus on that, and doing that, part of that is having the libraries available for students to be able to have in their classroom. Arkansas Grade Level Reading Campaign celebration was November 29th, and Dr. Kathy Morledge and Miss Melissa Fink both went to the governor's mansion. They got to have a meal with the governor, and they were delighted and honored to be recognized. Jones is a participant in the Arkansas Grade Level Reading Campaign, their attendance works process, and this was celebrating that as a whole. And many who were at the event highlighted the parent university that we've also talked about here in our board meetings, so that was another positive for Springdale. Springdale was also celebrated and awarded the All-American City Award. Mayor Doug Sprouse was there, and he was presented with that award and accepted that on behalf of the city of Springdale, most notably for the efforts that are happening within the Springdale School District. In addition, Dr. Gonzalez-Worthen and Al Lopez were also there and received recognition for their work, which is the Feed Your Brain program, which is a summer program that they do in partnership with Parson Hills and Elmdale Elementary, which was also really exciting. In the world of PD, we have a K-12 initiative that's happening for our pre-K students and pre-K teachers. We're really working on curriculum that will help prepare them or promote them, move them forward toward being prepared for our kindergarten reading curriculum. In K-7, we have skills that are being taught in terms of professional development. What skills do you need as a teacher to be able to teach reading? That same mindset is also present with our English language learners. And on February 19th, we're going to have a catalog for for all of the teachers to choose from. They'll be able to self-select the things that they feel like that they need additional support in teaching reading in the morning. And in the afternoon, we're going to have our behavioral support specialist out of special education to give them another offering to allow them to have some additional training in how to better support our students who have some pretty intensive needs, and the best way to go about doing that and the proper way to do that. I'd like to recognize Dr. Mary Bridgeforth, who is no stranger to you, but is a big deal, not just in our district, but outside of our district and in the United States. She has partnered with Dr. Rollins on a partnership for our Marshallese families, and she's going to talk with you about our last 2 meetings of the Marshallese Patron Shelves. Dr. Bridgeforth.
Good evening. We are pretty excited that we have a Marshallese Patron Shelf in place now. We've had 2 meetings. The purpose of our Marshallese Patron Shelf is to bring our Marshallese families together and try to make sure that we're providing opportunities and they and our families have input into what those opportunities might look like for our Marshallese families. Our first meeting was October 20th, and all of our elementary principals brought 2 Marshallese families to the meeting. We had the meeting upstairs, and as you can imagine, it was very crowded. We had to bring all sorts of chairs in the room. I think we had 77 people upstairs. We were very nervous about the fact that there were so many people there, but we decided it was a pretty exciting opportunity, so we just stayed and had about an hour-and-a-half meeting, and then all took a picture on the front steps at the end of that meeting. We talked about, our purpose was to learn from our families about what we can do to better serve our children. And we talked about their dreams for their children, and what we learned was that their dreams for their children are the same as our dreams for our children. They wanted their children to go to college, and they wanted to learn more about what they could do to help their children. So that was the focus of the second meeting, which was December 1st. Because we had so many families, we had to meet down here in the boardroom. It was a pretty incredible event as well. We heard from our Marshallese liaison. We heard from Dr. Morledge, Dr. Smith, and Martfeld. We shared lots of opportunities and ideas of things that would help our families help their children. So our next meeting is January 26th, and we are still talking about what the focus of that meeting might be. I feel like we shared so much information December 1st that we probably need to circle back around and continue to have conversations and let our families ask questions about the information that we shared. Other topics that need to be addressed that they're interested in learning more about are how can I help my children, how can I help my child at home with reading? When I'm reading with my child, what are some strategies that I can use to help them become better readers? And then also to learn more about our pre-K program. So we look forward to that partnership and that meeting in January. Anything else? Yes, sir.
What did you learn about the Marshallese family?
I learned that our Marshallese families are just like our families. They're just like us. They want what is very best for their child, and they may not always know what that is because they're not in the educational system that we are surrounded with, but they want what's best for their children.
So the students that sang tonight, were there about 20 of them?
There were about 20, yes.
And those had been here 1 year?
Less than 1 year.
Or less?
Less than 1 year, yes.
So is that 20 a pretty good representation annually?
No, it's not. We have many more than that. We have about 2,500.
Was that a complete?
That was not all. That was just a sample of some of the Marshallese students in our language academy at HAR-BER.
I didn't mean to say total population,
Yeah.
but that was just a sampling, but it was of all grades and.
No, that was just to HAR-BER language academy students. Yes.
So that was just a very small.
It was a very small population. It was interesting because they were sitting in front of me during the beginning opening songs, and there were some of the songs that we all know, those of us that have grown up in American culture, and there was one student out of all of the students sitting in front of me that was singing one of the traditional songs. They don't know them, but they're here and they're learning. So.
But you've also got that, the parent language barrier as well, with that many just at HAR-BER that were 1 year or less. So.
Yes. And so we had multiple resources here during our Marshallese Patron Shelf. We had our liaisons here, and we also have a system where our families can have headphones on, and as Dr. Rollins is talking, Robin is able to translate, and they can hear. So as he's speaking, they hear a translation through the headphones.
Guess that was my long way about getting that.
Yes, lots of good questions.
I was kind of curious. One of the slides I remember that we saw at our Arkansas School Board meeting last week was like the state population and diverse populations and AP test takers. How are, in terms of trying to get more Marshallese into the AP curriculum? I mean, are you beginning to see maybe students that have been here since early on, are they beginning to show some interest in getting into AP classes?
Yes, we are. And that's the reason of our patron shelf is having our families come in so that we can partner so that we have more students that are participating in the AP and classes and are prepared to be successful in the classes and on the assessments.
So you grew from your first meeting to the second meeting?
Yes.
Did you say how many?
I think we had 77 in the first meeting, and this room was almost full December 1st. So we were so busy, I didn't get a count. I'm not sure.
Oh, well, that's fine.
But I know we had more.
It's going to ebb and flow a little,
Yeah,
but
sure.
there were good crowds at both meetings, for sure.
That's great.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And to your point, we are looking at that growth of how do we have more students who are engaged in that AP process, and how do we get them there. So the guy that's sitting over to my left, your right, who's acting really unassuming, we have two really quiet soldiers in our district who you may not know about. This is Mr. Ty Davis, and his cohort this year is Miss Laura Bishop. And they're both technology, and they are phenomenal. And he did this on his own. We have jobs and things that they have to do to accomplish in the day, which fills up most of their day. They're in classrooms, they're providing professional development, they're working with students, they're working with teachers, they're helping to work on technology that's in the classroom, lots of different things that are going on. But he did this on his own. He created a crosswalk that he's going to show you, a website for computer science standards. Computer science standards, by the way, are brand new in the state of Arkansas. And he sent this link and said, "What do you think about this?" And I said, "That's really amazing." He's done a crosswalk. He's going to show you a little bit about this. But the bigger part, which is the bigger deal, is, as you know, our governor has a huge push for computer science standards. And I sit on the board that is working through what this is going to look like, which is great. And so I sent a link to the guy who's leading this, Anthony Owen, out of the governor's office, and just said, "I just want you to know, we have some really cool people in Springdale, and Mr. Ty Davis created this, and I wanted you to know that it exists." And he sent the whole link out to the entire state. And that doesn't just encompass educators, that encompasses everyone who works in any type of industry that touches computers or computer science. So it was a real kudo to his work, and this is a beginning process. And I just wanted him to take a moment to kind of talk with you about what it looks like. So, Mr. Davis?
Yeah, this is what one of the goals was. This was integrated standards. So, as people get to high school, they're going to more take a lot of these courses. But as part of a standard with the 6, there's K-8 integrated standards. These that were covered here, as you can see, were grades 6th, 7th, and 8th. And the goal was to integrate these into the math, the science, and the social studies. And I went out and Googled all these different standards. And as I did it across from grades 6, 7th, and 8th, just so that it would have a good flow. And I think some teachers get scared, I think even myself, from before I got into researching and studying computer science. But the goal was to make activities that, let's say, this is for a science teacher, that she can take this, maybe start a class off and be like, all right, let's look at subsets of using logic, different logic gates, which is important for computer science. So what we did was went out there and researched an activity that they could do in their class, maybe start a lesson off, something that would make sense for the teachers, and they could start talking about this. And if you pull this down, be like, okay, how would this work? If this is on or that, it's going to work. And then we can talk about it
a science teacher, like as they were studying something in science, they'd be asked those guiding questions at the bottom, and kids can start to make connections to logic gates and computer science and how all this stuff works together. And so I think as we teach them this language in the K-8, it's going to expand to have more computer science at the high school. And so when they do think of terms like programming languages like Java, you know, they're not just going to think, well, that's a cup of coffee, or like Python is not just a snake, it's a programming language. And I think of like C++, that's not great, it's a programming language. So the key is exposing teachers and students to this term and just exposing them to it. So that's what we got.
I heard earlier the state's going to require kids to pass a digital test.
Well, students have to engage in a computer science course. Students have to take a computer science course. So
There's no way to test out.
There's no way to test out of it, and we wouldn't want them to test out of it. We want them to have that integrated approach. So the approach we've taken is trying to find ways to embed it in the existing curriculum. So, for example, if we have a student who's going into the Language Academy at HAR-BER, and they're a 10th grade student, and they've never attended compulsory school up until that point, they've attained no 9th grade credits. They've attained no 10th grade credits, and we're starting at 10th grade at a deficiency in credit attainment. So to ensure that they are on track and ready to graduate, we try to subsidize them to help them not to be in fear of failure by finding ways to embed different things to be able to allow them to have credit. And so what he started on and kind of embarked in this world, which he just gave you a little snapshot of a taste of what it looks like, is a way to do that that is threaded throughout the curriculum. And so he started with 6, 7, 8, and then he'll progress forward. But it's a really good idea. Smart guy.
And the reason I ask, if it's going to be embedded in a lot of the classwork, these guys here, they wouldn't need to take computer science.
Well, our job what our goal is to have blended course code approval, which means that as they are taking a science class, they are doing duplicit service, and so they're getting 2 for 1. Is the way that that's where we're trying to move as a district, to really begin integrating units and integrating credits so that you're not necessarily in this class getting this credit. You might be in this cluster and getting these credits. Smart, isn't he? Yeah. Good job.
Thank you, Ty. Great work. Thank you. Mr. President, do y'all want to take a stretch for a minute?
Sure. Yes, a couple of minutes.
Okay.
good?
We're good, let's do it.
Mr. President, we're at item G, I believe, on this first section of the agenda. I wanted to give those of you who had an opportunity to participate in the Arkansas School Boards Association the opportunity to kind of give us an overview of that experience. I know there were some unusual changes down there, and you had to monitor and adjust, and I guess
Exactly.
we're all becoming more and more accustomed to that. I've spoken to Ms. Cook every day. She's feeling much better, I think, and I told her we'd give her a pass tonight and let her stay home and rest.
He was our official spokesman, so I guess our report.
Sure. Well, I know some of you really did a great job, and I appreciate that very, very much. Randy, Kathy, why don't y'all tell us how the presentation went, if you will, and perhaps how it was received.
Go ahead.
The presentation went extremely well. You know, this Dr. Morlich had to kind of rework it, I think, a couple of times because due to illnesses, and did an amazing job. But the first time it was presented, the room was really almost full, had a lot of participation from the attendees, and then the second time it was presented after lunch, we even had more people in that room. It was almost totally full, and again, the participation was wonderful. A lot of good questions, a lot of interaction among themselves that Dr. Morlich, drove that, so that I think it went very well.
Good.
I think it went very well, and I think my favorite part of the conference was, of course, Bill Daggett, and just what he always has to say is always
He sure does. It's extremely powerful. It's research-based.
Mhm.
I always think when he talks about if you have resources to spend, this is your greatest return on your investment.
So I'm looking forward to, we got to sign up and give him our email, so he's going to send us his presentation. So,
Good.
yeah. So I'm excited to go over that again because he shares so much information all at once. It's hard to grasp it all, though I took notes. I did take notes. But anyway. So.
Did you sit up front on the left? That's what I really need to know.
Sitting on the left front. Mike made sure of that. So.
Yes.
He made us all
Sure
behave.
was good for something.
Oh, boy. There you go.
He made us all behave, so.
Well, that's,
Yeah.
Randy, comments you have?
No, I would second what Kathy had to say about the presentation. I was only present for the first presentation, and then I went and attended another breakout session. But my most enjoyable part of the conference was Dr. Daggett. Also, I'd never heard him speak before. I've heard you and several of the administrators talk about his research and his everything that he's had to say. And when he was by the time he was buzzing. By the time he was done talking, I was like, well, heck, we're doing it all wrong. We might as well just blow up the whole system and start all over because his research goes against totally everything that we're doing. Really, the way he presented it, it should be done differently than what we're doing. And he's told the state about it, told the nation about it, and it just
give us an example so we're following.
Well, he talked about how you're supposed to. I can't even think. I want to see. I'm waiting for Kathy. I signed up to get the presentation.
Sometimes you have to study.
And I want to sit there and study it. But he talked about how you can't be revolutionaries and want to blow it all up because then you'll end up being the ones that are hung by doing it differently. So I think you'll enjoy once we get a copy of the presentation. We'll send it to you and let you look at it.
Spend more time with it.
It really. Everybody was dead quiet listening to it, and he was a really powerful presenter. So it was really interesting.
I've been privileged to hear him many times, and I share your enthusiasm. He's got a lot of great people behind him too, as well. So
he doesn't seem to worry about stepping on toes. He just stomps on toes and just speaks what he thinks is the truth. And he got my attention. So it'll be interesting to review all that.
The proof is always in the results, isn't it?
Right.
Mike, comments?
Of course, I agree and echo what Kathy and Randy said. One of the sessions I went to was Chuck Stein, and I've heard you talk about him many times, and it was good to see the genesis of where, you know, the facilities funding came from, how it works, because, you know, we see it when you guys bring it to us. So it was good to hear some of the history as he took us back through that, some of which I knew, but then he was also on that panel able to have an architect and a construction management firm that did that presentation with him, and it was good. Since we're so busy building buildings all the time, it was kind of interesting to see how all that works from the state level. So, you know, the great thing is you sit there and you watch it and you hear him talk is how well we've been able to maximize and leverage, you know, whatever we can to get the most dollars for our facilities funding. It's good job, Jared, Jim. Keep it up.
We've been given reason to worry about the longevity of the adequacy funding. Did he speak to that at all in terms of?
He didn't really talk much about the adequacy funding side. He talks really just about facilities. And so that, you know, the wealth index and how those things work. So that was what they spent most of their time on.
The retreat. Anybody else want to offer any comments at all? Anything? The retreat that the chamber held in Branson was one of the finest I've been to. The chamber's now had 5 of these retreats, and I know many of you participated in them before. I am so extremely proud of our mayor. I'm extremely proud of Mr. Webb and the chamber from the standpoint of putting that together. We had about 100 and almost 150 business leaders who were there. I don't think I've seen the spirit, from my point of view, any better than it was. I think everybody kind of feels like it's our time. And so planning is really, really important. I kind of gave you a summary of the work session agendas, Kevin, et cetera. If y'all would kind of thumb through that over about midway, and I don't think I even numbered them, but there's a section in there that talks about 4 discussion points: economic growth, Springdale growth, transportation and infrastructure, and then downtown development. Those were the 4 focus areas that the groups dealt with. And Joe and I were privileged to be there, and he did a great job from the standpoint of sharing the workings of the school and the partnerships that are being built in line with these indicators. And Joe, if you will, would you come forward? I'm going to let you summarize your perspective of the meeting, and if you will, kind of focus some on these points.
Well, that's really a great introduction to how we spent a day and a half. The energy in my mind was absolutely focused on where can we take Springdale. So, you know, the areas that we focused on, I was named the speaker of the group for the economic growth group, and the conversations we had, number one, they're not that dissimilar from the conversations we have about our school districts. So how do we tell our story better to the right folks? How do we attract the right industries? How do we continue the growth curve that we're on? And then the conversation moved into how do we do that in a balanced way? And that led to the other points of what does balanced look like? How can we make sure that we're continuing to attract newcomers to Northwest Arkansas from across the country, but in knowledge-based form, continued manufacturing, industrial growth, and then what kind of quality of life indicators are going to help drive those businesses, industries, residents here. We want Springdale to continue to be the place to come to go to school, to go to work. In addition to that, what do we need to do to make it the place in the eyes of all to stay, to live, to eat, to be entertained, to enjoy the quality of life in Springdale? So that fueled conversation around economic, Springdale growth as a whole, transportation, infrastructure, and then obviously changes to the downtown area, and we were proud to be at the table to be a part of that conversation. And they really looked to us for our perspective in terms of how have we managed that growth, how have we continued to offer a quality product that's attractive to everyone, and then they asked us how do we tell our story so that then they can continue to do that on a larger scale. So it opened the need, opened the conversation to how do we continue to communicate with our business community so that they can help us amplify that story. But they wanted to also talk about how do we continue to grow both west of 49 and east of 49. So how can we continue to build those destination zones? How can we continue to modify, build districts that are going to push retail, restaurants, housing across the board so that we have a balanced growth going forward? The conversation was great, and the schools were at the heart of reasons to come to Springdale. So they were singing praises to the work that's going on. One of the things that I was really impressed with, they wanted to talk about intentionally connecting businesses with our schools, which sings the praises of the work that's been going on to try and get us this far. They see one of those major driving forces for business, for industry, as the right kind of workforce, the right kind of work pool to continue to draw from. So they've really honed in on the conversation of how can we get our kids into their businesses, industries, in an ongoing fashion. So they were very pleased with that conversation. And really, it was hard to have one bullet conversation without talking about the other three. If you can imagine 4 big boards about the size of that screen and 140 people with a stack of Post-it notes talking about key areas they felt were important, and then boiling that down into 4 or 5 bullets per area. That's how 2 days were spent. The conversation was very much alive and very much supportive of what we're doing. It was a great 2 days. It really was. Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. Everybody have a paper and pencil? I think it'd be good for us to do a little work together here. You can imagine the focus of the conference, or to use terms that we use a lot, the overarching concept was the February 13th vote on the school bond issue, or not school bond issue, but city bond issue. Okay? So February 13th is a big date. Here's what some information I'd like for you to begin to think through, and these are just this reflects my understanding, so if I don't have it exactly right, you listen and work to clean it up, because we're going to need to be a real voice for our city. If this is our time, and I certainly believe it is, we need the resources to help continue with the development. This is about a $215 million bond issue. $215 million bond issue. It will be a 30-year bond issue, but with our growing revenue stream, we may well be able to pay that off well in advance. This is where we are right now. If you look at the $215 million, it's going to take about almost $45 million. My numbers are $44,765 to refund the existing bonds, pay off the bonds that we are now in order to take this new initiative forward. Now then, we begin to look at key projects that are a significant part of this issue. And a lot of that is still in flux. It's still being discussed. You may not have seen all that much printed material just yet because it is still being developed. But this is kind of my understanding of where we are today. Of the amount of money that I talked about, the $215 million, about 45 is going to refund the existing bonds. Then comes the issue of parks. $21,320,000 is in this bond issue for park development, refurbishment of existing parks like Randall Tyson Park. Jeff, we remember very well when the park was dedicated, etc. The Shaw Family Park out west is a significant part of that conversation. And again, revitalization of existing parks and so forth. The fire department is the third major piece, and they're looking at constructing 3 new stations. And the early projections are $17,635,000 for those 3 new stations. So that's 1, 2, 3, or that's 2 major issues along with the refunding. Then comes the criminal justice complex, which is a major development, major expansion of the downtown city administration offices. The monies that are set aside for that addition is $42,580,000. $42,580,000, and the current administrative building will be connected to this new addition, et cetera. The balance of the funds will be left for dedication to street improvements, road improvements, et cetera, with a maximum amount for road improvements being $92,710,000. Now, the council will have a major role. Obviously, the mayor will be in a leadership role in that regard, et cetera. But the council will have the responsibility for prioritizing how the road projects will be aligned. 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll do this first, we'll do this second, we'll do this third, et cetera, and then we'll see engineering and budgets put together to support those projects. So, we understand the conversation currently is to address the 56th Street development on the west side of the city, with the council looking first at the section from Blue Street to Elm Springs Road, Blue Street just north of 412, from that section to Elm Springs Road. That's already being looked at, designed, preparing for bid, et cetera. So the message seems to be that that's clearly priority number one. The second part of that 56th Street expansion is then from Elm Springs North to the 412 bypass. Elm Springs North to the 412 bypass. So that's a major extension. It will be I'm satisfied there'll be enormous time and expense involved in that. But in addition to the east-west corridors we have, you see another north-south corridor coming forward there. The conversation, as Joe said over and over again, was what can we do to help downtown have real viability. You know, with the Tyson building that's been built down there, that is a great, in my opinion, vote of confidence by corporate Tyson to try to help attract industry or business to downtown Springdale. That's one of many businesses that we need to come downtown. It's not a one building initiative, but that step by Tyson hopefully will open the door for other companies to come and build. There'll be a lot of conversation about road development downtown. You see that going on already along Emma. We'll see developments from Maple, et cetera. There's going to be a lot of interest in the park development, but Kevin, also from the conversation that went on throughout the time in Branson, there's going to be a real need to clean up older developments downtown that really in pretty poor condition around that park area now.
The park area,
Yes.
the downtown park.
Yes. Yes, you bet. Okay. We, as you know, have an interest. We've been exploring, we've been working with Ms. Hunt, for example, in terms of the conversation about extending Don Tyson to the east. Don Tyson runs out to Haberton now. There's a turnaround. It's almost things stop there. If you've seen that, and I think you have, I hope I've given you those diagrams. There is at least consideration being given to develop the extension of Don Tyson from that turnaround in front of Turnbow on to the east, swinging then back north and connecting with 412. For us to have a plan that has any viability, that part of the infrastructure has to be developed. Obviously, every penny of our money will have to go toward developing a school if, in fact, that's the site that's chosen. Now, there's a lot of important considerations to be made, and it has been said to me by those who work a great deal on street development that there has to be a focus given on infrastructure that will lead to economic development. One might question whether extension of Don Tyson from the turnaround on to the east would be one that would significantly influence economic development. But that can be answered if you think of the east-west bypass where patrons could get on to the Don Tyson Parkway further to the east and swing all the way across the city, etc. That could really help. I asked the question, if we had a school to be located in that area, would that influence the decision? Many people there said it certainly would. And I think the conversations, Kevin, that we had over and over again was just take a look at it. We understand there are many needs in the city. We're looking at it as a potential site for a school. And when you talk about road development, that's just the opening volley, because along with that has to come water and sewer and electricity and all those other things that open up the potential for development, where it be business or residential. So these are just some notes that might help you a little bit. Kevin and I talked some this morning. We're right in the midst of trying to decide next steps. We are planning we have the money lined up, we believe, with state partnership to help with a new elementary school in 2020, maybe a second in 2022. That's a very aggressive timetable when you look at multiple projects, many different road projects that the city may have to consider and deal with and prioritize, et cetera. And where would this extension of Don Tyson to the east fall? Well, it might not fall on that list at all. If it did, what's the earliest it could be done? All we have right now is a map with a line on it. There's been no engineering done. There's been no specifications written. There's been no property rights acquired, et cetera. So we have to understand that from the standpoint of there being any real viability in terms of us opening a school on that particular site in 2020, if that shakes out and we were to do that, is really an uphill battle. That's whether that's even feasible or not is
so it really hit me this morning when he said 2020. If you think about that, it's only 24 months from right now. And a typical
it's
time,
really aggressive.
Typical time frame, correct me if I'm wrong, is at minimum 15 months to build.
I think that's a good number. 13 to 15 months is the best we've ever done.
Infrastructure, as far as roads are concerned, you're already at your You're going to be knocking at your timeline pretty quick.
I'm just reiterating again what Kevin and I talked some about this morning. We're ready to build a school, but we don't have a site to build a school. Not today. Whether that has any validity in terms of the 2020 school is to be determined. So if we don't build there, where do we go? And we are continuing to work with developers. We're continuing to look for optimal sites. I still think the east side is probably where the next school should go, but I don't think we would miss very much, and maybe not miss a thing, if we went to sites we already have on the west. The west is coming. You can see that happening. You can look at residential development. So again, the team here is looking very closely at all the variables that we have control over, and then we're trying to hopefully influence those that we don't necessarily have control over to give us a good option for 2020. So I want to be real clear, that's very much in flux. But again, if we should decide to go to the west, we have property on 56th Street, as you well know, which is really a beautiful site. There's 37.5 acres there. We have 20 acres on Barrington Road in Tawnytown. Those are both excellent sites on the west. I would tell you this, let's go back to the east for just a moment. And Dr. Cleveland needs to be given all the credit in terms of trying to help open these doors initially. As you know, we have property off Dodd Avenue, 24.8 acres that we've had for well over a decade. But there is interest from parties involved with the development of the bike trail and so forth. There's conversations about a potential center for that initiative on the east side of town. I think we're going to continue, and we've had several conversations already, we're going to continue to have conversations with that developer who's interested in the Dot Avenue property, we may well come back to the board and ask you to liquidate that property or sell that property with the idea we could use those funds to build in maybe a more suitable site where infrastructure is already in place. So we'll see how that goes. There's a lot of options, and our team is working hard to make the very best choice that we can in that regard. Kevin, does that help any? Do you need more information? I don't want to just go on and on, but I want to make sure y'all understand what we're dealing with.
Was there a discussion about residential growth out that way?
Yes. I think we will continue to see residential growth to the east. It's really interesting when you begin to talk and think in a little more in-depth way about the west. Where is the opportunity for residential development to the west? And again, Kevin's helped me with a number of conversations there already. The north and the west, on the west side of town, appears to provide ample opportunity for continued residential growth. So we'll be looking at that in a significant way. I think the east, there's ample opportunity. But if you might think, well, what's the magnet that's pulling everybody to the west? Well, obviously 49 is a major magnet, but it's a major magnet for what? So much of that property around 49 more than likely is going to be commercial, and it's going to be a very expensive property to develop, and may or may not invite residential development. And I don't mean to speak as an expert, it's just conversations that we're having right now. So where might the next major rooftops come that would influence our district? Obviously, there's enormous property to the west. West of Tinytown, there's significant opportunities.
But as you reminded me today, the barrier is...
Yeah. We've learned a few things along the way. We've made systems work when there wasn't sewer in place, but I don't want to do that again. I think that ought to be the last resort and more before we do that. So we're going to have to be partners in conversation about infrastructure development as we look at future school locations. So again, we're in a learning mode. We're looking at every venue in terms of options that are available to us. We obviously need to take advantage of the partnership funding that's out there. We don't know the longevity of that funding. That's why I use the term adequacy. I should have just talked about partnership funding. That would have been a little clearer in terms of my question to Mike. I don't know how long that'll last. We've all been in meetings a year ago when the governor said, don't know how long we can do this. You remember that? And he's pretty good to send the messages in terms of at least where his thoughts are on things. So we've lined up well. We have funding in place for phase 2 of the School of Innovation. We believe we have funding in place for the elementary school in 20 and perhaps the next. So we need to make good decisions now and make sure we've got instructional space in front of our kids.
Was there any discussion about the School of Innovation?
Let me read this to you. Let's just see how this is Mr. Webb's comments. Phase 2 of the School of Innovation may be the biggest improvement initiative done in Springdale in the next several years. So obviously our chamber, our business community has placed a real premium, a real priority on the development of the School of Innovation and certainly this expansion. And a major part of this, Kevin, we'll be prepared now to begin to show the board the development piece. The chamber's very interested in the career and technical piece, what I referred to as the agribusiness center. And we'll begin to see that take on different definitions. We've got about $5 million out of our $35 million allocation for phase 2 of the SOI dedicated to a career and technical education center. And the chamber is very interested in that, without question. So I just used Perry's comments to answer your question, Dan. But virtually everybody up there wanted to talk about what was happening there. What I hope you're seeing on a much broader scale is when we have our monthly meetings and you're seeing every building principal and these kids come in front of you, the attributes that were defined early on in the School of Innovation. You see that playing out in every classroom in the district today. Pretty nice plan. I'll stop.
No, but I think, you know, you led this little section off here with going through what the bond issue was going to be for.
Yeah.
I think I mean, obviously we discussed it this morning, but it's extremely eye-opening in my opinion. I mean, we're obviously all vested citizens of Springdale.
Yep.
And then talking about new schools and the growth of schools, I mean, we got to really pay attention to kind of where this is all going to be going, because I think it all plays a really integral part, and will help us make decisions. Maybe it'll help us make decisions on our growth areas.
I think it will. We were really.
So like you tell us, we got to be, I think, be students of, that game, the big game that's going to happen here with this bond issue, and then how we're going to manage that with student population growth.
That's right. A decade ago, we started the Land Bank Initiative. To me, it's one of the best things we've ever done. We have virtually exhausted that land bank. And if you've heard Dr. Cleveland's comments in the last several meetings, and yes, these are projected data, but as we look across, Kevin, the next decade, this 23,000 kids that we're serving today could easily be 30,000 kids, and that's the number that's projected. So to your point, we need to know where the access areas are from the standpoint of trying to start our new phase of the land bank, and we're very focused on that. And we certainly want to work in partnership with our city officials.
And also know where the city land boundaries are.
Yeah.
Because you go to the Southern School District, if you go so far west, or you go to the north or in Bentonville.
Yeah. We're gonna have to work extremely close with. So again, I think I've given you some of the information. Kevin's point is really good, and we need to be very mindful as we work with our architects in terms of timelines for constructing new facilities, et cetera. I think we're still good with phase 2. We're satisfied that building design can be completed. We can sign contracts. We can begin construction in late spring, early summer, open that school in 2020. That looks really good. I told Kevin this morning I'd probably feel a little bit better about it if we'd started a little bit earlier, but really there was no opportunity to start a little bit earlier. So we'll have to deal with the space that's available at the School of Innovation to get us ready for the opening of 2020. As you know, in the fall, we'll have 6th graders at the school as well. So again, in our conversation this morning, if we have 75 6th graders, 100 6th graders, similar number of 7th graders, then that will add to the student population at the school and take us pretty well up to capacity as we move toward opening the school in 2020. So all that design work that we did to give us extra space in the school so that the open enrollment classrooms, the broad hallways, et cetera, can all be used for instructional space, and I expect we'll see that happen. So, good meeting in Branson, good meeting obviously in Little Rock. I know y'all represented the district extremely well. The partnership piece that we're developing with the community, we've got to continue to grow and develop that. Again, Joe's done a great job with CTE in terms of building partnerships, and it's great to see that kind of interaction between, frankly, him and our business leaders. That's a relationship steeped in trust, and that's what it takes, as we all know, to make things happen. Okay. Any other questions, Mr. President?
No.
I think unless you have questions, I'll conclude my remarks and we'll move on to personnel. You ready to go back?
Had a brief moment there. I wasn't sure if my legs were going to work to get me up here. I sat there for a while. Dr. Rollins did a really, really nice job laying out the conversation that we've been having in regard to our facilities. He asked me to really focus tonight on the School of Innovation and timeline and some questions that you may have. I prepared for you a timeline for an elementary and for School of Innovation, just so you know some benchmark dates of decisions that need to be made by certain times. It's really, really difficult to plan on a whim. So if you have some dates ahead of you to know that, look, this is a deadline, we need to make sure that we have time at the end and not waste time at the beginning, we need to make some decisions. So anyway, I just wanted to roll through there and kind of give you a couple of looks there. A schematic design needs to be approved pretty much in January. Now you say, well, Jared, that's tomorrow. Sure, that's right. But a lot of work that has taken place in the last many months is really coming to a head here with the leadership of Dr. Rollins and really Dr. Joe Rollins. Y'all know he's Dr. Joe Rollins, right? I don't know if anybody's announced that or not, but we're really tickled for him in that aspect. Joe, Dr. He's Dr. Joe. Yeah.
I didn't think it ever happened.
Well, I think his dad didn't either. So he got pushed a little bit, but no, Joe always knew, and we're proud of him. But, okay, so the schematic phase needs to be prepared. We've had meeting, and we've spent hours and hours and hours really reviewing the academic need. So the academic need really is the innovative piece. The building is wonderful, that's great, and it needs to have some really cool aspects to it, and it's going to, but the delivery and the learning is what's unique to me, and it's what's innovative, and what's going to spawn other unique and innovative aspects throughout our district, and really out into the state and out into the country. So
We have 7th graders out there?
we do, and it's going really, really well. I think, Joe, we're at 77 is the last number that I heard, and it was a pilot, obviously, so you want to start with a little bit smaller number. You bet. Interesting thought, though, and as a side, if Dr. Rollins will allow me, I'm getting questions in the community when I'm out, because I've got a little one. He's 12 years old. He's involved in everything. And the parents that I'm meeting have younger children. They say, well, are we having a K-12 School of Innovation? So we're working on what does that look like? How does innovation look in elementaries today? You're likely going to be approached about the School of Innovation and the buzz of the quality of delivery, not only there across our district, but what would that look like K-5, and since it's 6-7. So just as food for thought, dream a little. What would that look like as school board members? And how might that work? Interesting, isn't it? Kind of a interesting concept. But they're asking, and they're likely going to ask you since you're the representatives in the district. Okay, so as we move forward, we should have a schematic nailed down. We ought to be able to begin to roll through the city in about March and concluding in April, with building construction documents to be completed in June. Now, what's the big deadline here? We're probably going to be able to get those bid packages out in July and bid for construction to begin in August. So that's a real push. Mr. Owenby talked about 24 months to build a building. We're at that start of really needing to understand what it is that we want, how are we going to do it, when are we going to start, what's it going to cost. So Dr. Rollins has already given me the, okay, it should cost this, and I'll take 50% of that, and that's what you got. Let's go do it and get everything we need. So we're really good at that. You know, he's about the best horse trader I've ever met in my life. He's the only person that can rub a nickel together with the penny and it come out to be a $100 gold piece. So anyway, we're working on that. He did talk to you about the opening in 2020. It is aggressive, but it's certainly we're certainly capable of doing that with the architect we have, and Baldwin Shell has been able to produce and perform in a remarkable fact. Opening of Phase 2 on time was nothing short of a miracle. I'm sorry, Phase 1, nothing short of a miracle. We'll have a little bit more time this time to open Phase 2. So we're excited about it. Now, if we can get down to that 160,000, 225,000 square foot range in order to meet the needs of 2,000 kids. So that's where we are.
When did they project that we would hit 30,000 students?
Probably within the next decade.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're by 30, I believe, Jared. Wasn't that your number?
Yes, you're in good company there, thinking about 30 in the next decade. It's a really educated guess, but when you start looking at growth and what's happened historically and what could happen, and with the number, I think it's 31 people moving into the area per day. Is my number correct? I've heard that, and I've heard it from some people who are much more in tune than I am. So that's a pretty significant number. Not necessarily Springdale, but Northwest Arkansas. So I want to qualify my remarks. Many of the people are going to live here because we have really quality homes, really affordable housing, and we have the lowest millage in the region. And so we're able to do quite a bit with a whole lot less.
It'll be interesting to see what the hospital brings as far as people moving to the area. You know.
Well, I can tell you the hospital's already brought some fantastic people that I've met, and their children are in our schools. Some of my former students, one in particular, is an executive over at the hospital, and she contacted us, my wife and me. Christy was her teacher in elementary school, and said, "Hey, look, I'm coming. I need some help with a house." And so some great people are on their way, and they're a great addition. So just for Diana, glad she's here. Her kids are little rock stars, and so is her husband. So that, as an aside, the School of Innovation Phase 2 will make you proud. We'll bring some things forward. Dr. Rollins will in the next month or so for your review. Other than that, our elementary school timeline is there at the bottom as well. In talking to Mr. Hayes before, I think $14 to $16 million may be able to do that, complete that project. Our only issue that Dr. Rollins laid out to you is where, what location, and we just don't have the data to provide to you right now for a decision to be made on that. Looking forward, the next cycle, I mean, we'll know if we're funded on this elementary school May 1st of 18. So we're operating on some faith that we're going to be funded, and we fully expect we are. High growth, high poverty, that generally puts us at the top. So we have the data to support adding an elementary school. We know that we're approved. We just don't know the funding dollar amount, again, May 1, 2018. So this faith thing will get us there, and should we not be funded for some reason, we'll have to figure that out, won't we, right then? But we fully agree that, or believe that we'll be funded. I know several of you are interested in renovation projects, Southwest and some other things. That funding amount we won't know until May 1 of 19. So it's not 18, it's 19. So we've got a little time. But as Mr. Owenby said, that's just around the corner. 24 months really isn't that much. Another piece that I did provide you, I wanted to provide you the field documents for Tyson and Walker and SHS Athletics. Great opportunity to work and walk through those buildings. We did Tyson Elementary at the school board lunch, so if you weren't there, we missed you. You got a chance to, for those of you who were there, to walk through. The space is really, really nice. It's coming together. I think Mr. Athey today put in the order for the furniture. So when you put in an order for furniture, you're right around the corner. So we're in great shape there. Do you have any questions about those building projects? I don't want to overburden you with information, especially after Dr. Rollins provided you such a detailed report.
Oh, it was amazing to see what's happening at, Tyson Elementary. And when will we be out at Walker, do you know?
We'll be out?
Out
to
when
Walker?
We go visit, yes.
Oh, I don't have the school board lunch date yet. I think it's in our calendars. I'd have to look. I'm sorry, I don't know.
I just thought maybe you knew, but I'm excited to see that as well. Yeah. Tyson is absolutely beautiful.
It is, and it's going to be great. That new entrance, I've gotten nothing but quality feedback. And we're going to do some awning work, and it's really going to look nice, and I believe we'll be proud.
Kathy, is your question, when will we be out there for our school board lunch?
Yeah, we could see
we'll get that for you tomorrow.
Oh, well, just you.
It's Walker.
Then when we go to Walker for the school board lunch, we'll
yeah,
get that.
I've got it at home. I just thought maybe you knew when it was coming up. So.
Well, unless you have any particular questions, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Cleveland. Okay. Kelly, let's see, Kendra, come on. The number is how many, 6?
Good evening. In your packet, we've got requests for 5 students to transfer, or no, it's 6, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
There's 2 down there, into the district. You see they're coming from Fayetteville, Bentonville, and Rogers. I believe all of these are actually students that we already have in our district that move for whatever reason and want to stay. So that's always positive when they move out of district but still want to go to Springdale. Do you have any questions? Otherwise, I'd ask for your approval of these transfers.
Move that we approve the transfers.
Second.
Have a motion by Mr. Dodson and a second by Mr. Williams. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Board. Dr. Rollins. I have, there are 4 items listed for me tonight. The first item is the monthly building fund summary. You will see that I believe Tyson and Walker Medius are the same as they were last month. We didn't get a request for payment in the month of November in time to get it paid, so we'll see 2 payments for them next month. So all the projects are moving along. Any questions on that? If there are no questions on that, I'll move on to the next item.
Kelly, do you mind me?
Sure.
Let me just take a minute, and I have sent y'all communication about maybe another improvement to our athletic fields at HAR-BER and at Springdale. We will begin to work on bids for lighting, perhaps seating, and other infrastructure needs to allow us to play our games in both baseball and softball at the 2 traditional high schools. So it is my understanding, based on the feedback that I've had from the board, that y'all too think it now's the time to move forward on that project, Kevin, and you and I visited about it some.
Yes.
I believe y'all want us to proceed there, so as soon as we get some good information, I'll share that with the board. Thank you, Kelly.
Mm-hmm. Board, the second item that I have for you this evening is the related party resolutions that we do from time to time. The one I have to present for you this evening is Roller City. As y'all are aware of, that's the only skating rink in town, and it is owned by Stephen Lightfoot, who is a district employee. So asking that the board, we want to disclose this and ask that the board approve this resolution so that if we need to, we can go to Roller City.
Make a motion to approve the resolution as stated in our packet.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Hudson and a second by Mrs. Fettridge. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Board, I do have another one of these that came in late, so it's not in your agenda. I mean, yes, it's not in your information. One of our teachers at Central Junior High, I believe, her name is Celeste Creamer. She also does seamstress work, and we took bids on getting our choir dresses hemmed at Central Junior High. She was the low bid, and so we'd like to take advantage of that low bid by allowing her to do this work for us. It's around $350. So would ask that you consider approving that.
I'll make a motion that we accept the resolution for Ms. Kramer's work on behalf of the school district.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Luttrell and a second by Mr. Williams. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Board, the third item I have for you is really a non-item. After reviewing the law, in the board agenda it says obtain board approval for electronic fund transfers. After reviewing the law, the only signatures needed on it are the superintendent and the secretary-treasurer of the board. Basically, what we're asking for is, as you know, the size we are, we have to remit our federal income tax and FICA and MED withholdings the next day electronically. They don't just let us mail in a check whenever we want. And so we do have 5 different vendors that we handled in this manner. And so it's the U.S. Treasury, it's the Arkansas Department of Finance for state withholding, it's our Arkansas Teacher Retirement System, because they want their money right away as well. And then there are two companies, DataPath and Task. These are companies that handle our health savings accounts and our flexible spending accounts for our employees, and we want them to have that money available to use as soon as possible, so we are electronically transferring those funds as well. So if it's okay, if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer, but just to meet the law, we're going to obtain Dr. Rollins and Ms. McFettridge's signature. So any questions on that? Okay. And then the final item that I have for you this evening, Board, is the monthly financials for the month of November. Just as a reminder, this is the month that we received our biggest tax settlement of the year. And so we did receive over almost $20 million in tax settlements because the property taxes were due in October. And so we received that month, the month following. You can see on the revenue report, we're ahead of where we were last year. Again, y'all know the reason why, because I've told you several times. The foundation funding is now paid in 12 installments, whereas always before it's been in 11. So we're ahead on that, and I anticipate us being ahead till practically the end of the school year. On the expenditure report, you can see we are right in line with where we were this time last year. I don't have anything in particular I wanted to point out to you, but I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Make a motion to approve the financial reports as submitted.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Mr. Hutchinson and a second by Mr. Luttrell. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you very much.
Mr. President, our SEA rep will not be with us this evening, so this would conclude our meeting.
Thank you.